everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Flank. I'm joined by my friend, my companion, my duo. He's a staple to the Call of Duty scene. Welcome, the one and only BJ
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Yeah. What's the problem, Ben?
You're just gonna extend the Go Explorer now? There we go.
What's up, bitch? What's going on, Ben?
Not much, man. Got out to the golf course this morning, had a decent round. Came back and watched the New York Giants play terrible for like the fifth year in a row.
It is not good to be a New York Giants fan, man. It is not good at all.
It's not good to be a New York sports fan in general. New York sports is just it hasn't been a good time the past few years.
Yeah,
there are like two exceptions to that.
The subliners have been pretty good.
Subliners, the Bills, the Yankees.
The Yankees have been pretty good too. Yankees
have been good, but they haven't really done much.
They haven't won, but they've looked okay. But hey, Ben, it's good to have. It could definitely be worse. Wait, Austin, you're an A's fan. You're not a Boston fan. You're an A's fan.
Yeah, come on. You ever see that fucking hat he wears?
Of course, I've seen the fucking hat. And let's introduce our guest for today. First, we're going to announce Tony, my man Tony, a.k.a. Zinni's in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Zinni. You guys know him as, winning the Flank Awards as the best guest on the show.
Absolutely.
Give it up for Mete.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure to be here today.
Tony.
Hope everybody here is having a great weekend and an even better Sunday, right? You got NFL football, you got the Flank. There's not much else you can ask for besides a big plate of rigatoni bolognese. You know what I'm saying?
Forget about it, Tony. Forget about it. Hey, what happened to you, Tony, yesterday? We were rolling around in GTA.
Listen,
we had
saw
great
the
scenes.
Incredible scene, but I'm here tonight, man. I mean, I can't go back in time, but listen, man, it's important to take some days off so you don't get burnt out. And it sucks, but it's necessary.
Tony, I got life in prison. So I'm gonna need your help with that. I got life.
Don't worry, Attorney Tony's on the case.
They got me for dealing drugs. They got me for attempted murder. They got me for weapons. They got me for They got me for.
You're fucking down.
They got me for everything.
Because of the game. All because of the game.
No. This was after.
This is different.
This is way different.
Oh, they built a case against you.
No. We robbed the bank and we got out of there with the cash, but I had to go down popping off. And unfortunately, I'm in prison, so I have a court date at 10 o'clock Eastern. I have a court date. It's literally scheduled at 10 Eastern.
Attorney Tony's gonna be on demon time in that case. Don't worry. He's gonna get you out of that. Don't worry.
I like that. But hey, let's give it up for the main person that's gonna be joining us today. Our main guest on the show today. Give it up for one of the best ARs that has seen. He goes by the name of Thanos. Give it up for Slasher. What's going on, Austin Litico, my guy?
Nothing much, man. Like I said earlier, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I've been promising a show, so I figured I'd deliver, and I'm glad to be here and ready to get into it.
You're a man of your word, and bro, if you ever feel sick during the show or just want to get the fuck off, just let us know. I don't want, if you're feeling under the weather and shit, and you don't want to talk no more, just let me know, all right? And we'll we'll cut it.
100%. No, I should be good. I'm not that bad, but I'll power through.
But hey, Austin, it's good to have you on. We should talk about the top 30 list. I apologize, Austin. I'll put you over Cell. Would that make you happy if I put you over Cellium?
Bro, I'm not actually upset at you. I just think that some of the top 30 lists don't make a lot of sense.
Listen, top 30 isn't possible.
It's not possible. When I was making it is when I realized, dude, how do you do this? Because even when I made the top 30 itself and I saw all the other people that didn't make the top 30, I was like, wait a second. These guys kind of have to get in there somehow.
Listen, so, you can do top 5's easy, top 10 is tough.
Nah, top 10's easy. I feel like top 10's pretty easy.
Yeah, but you can't go past top 10, top 15. If you go past 15, it's chalk.
I think
I kind of agree with that.
10, 11,
past 10 is kind of hard.
Is pretty straightforward, and then after that, it's who knows, man. Depends on your criteria.
Yeah. People were really mad about my not putting Big T in there. But
really,
to be honest,
Big T retired in Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah, he retired really early, but he did have a lot of event wins. I mean, if we're counting MW3, and he won Nats and COD 4. I mean, listen, man, I never seen Big T play back in. I don't know much about Big T because I just wasn't around. But people were really mad about that. Yeah, so maybe we got to switch up the list a little bit. But let's get into the main news. Austin, how's your off season been?
The off season, I mean, I've just been kind of chilling for the most part, trying to distance myself away from the scene as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to get away for a little bit, bro. I haven't really talked to many COD pros. I haven't played with many people. I've kind of just been doing my own thing. which is new to me. I think I needed a break. But at the same time, I'm honestly, this past year has been really tough on me. Like, we'll talk about it as we go through this. And it's like the off season's been really tough for me as well because I want to play so bad.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even understand. I haven't wanted to play this bad in a long time.
Yeah.
Retweet.
And trying to distance myself and take a break has been difficult. But I think I've been doing pretty good. I've been relaxing as much as possible, trying to stay fit and healthy, working out and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's how it was for me in the off season. Like, when I was a player, I was just always so anxious to get the next season on the way. You know, like I didn't want to wait anymore. Like, I just wanted the game to drop, and I just wanted to play with my team and just get it going. So I definitely could see how it's hard to disconnect, but at the same time, you have to disconnect because you know how long of a season it is, and you're grinding day in and day out every day. It's a 7-day-a-week job for the most part, unless some teams
7 days.
6 to 7 days a week. What, Tony? What?
No. I was.
I was gonna say,
yeah, it's a 6 to 7 day a week. Go ahead, also.
With me, I personally, I've always had off seasons, but if you've kept up with the scene, I've pretty much always played like all the throwbacks. I've played, Chows in other games. Like, I haven't really had an off season like where I just distanced myself from Call of Duty. Period.
Yeah.
This is kind of the first time I haven't touched my controller at all.
I don't think people realize the offseason is also a lot shorter than people think, right? Because you would say, oh, champs ended August, whatever. That's when the offseason starts. Offseason starts after Roster Mania. Roster Mania is the most anxiety-filled time for a player that you know what?
For some,
Roster Mania
it depends.
has your head in the depending on who you are, right? Some people know their roster 2 days after champs, and some people. For some people, it's October 17th. They don't know what's going on.
Let's do this. Yeah. Let's use that as a segue. Let's talk about last year. So, Roster Mania last year, right? Austin, you guys kind of on the OGLA side, have kind of an up and down year. It gets a little bit better towards the end, but obviously you guys don't get the finish you want. Like, going into the off season, was the commit always, hey, the three of us, aka you, Kenny, and TJ, were going to stick? And at what point did you know sort of the thief stuff was going down?
So I mean, last season the plan was to kind of stick, but that off season was one of the weirdest ones I've ever been a part of. I've never been so in the dark about what is going on. There was like a month and a half of like nothing, like legit, just absolutely nothing. I remember I'd call Eric every day, what's going on? Call people, what's going on? And I never really got an answer until probably about a week before the announcement. And in that like time period, obviously everyone else is making moves. They're not waiting on us, you know what I mean? All the people we wanted are kind of going around, joining other teams, talking to other people. I'm like trying to talk to players, but I'm like, hey, you want a team, but we can't offer you anything yet, and I don't know when we'll be able to. So there's not really like, you know what I mean? There's not a really good offer from my side of things. And we almost even lost TJ in that span of things. I think that's been talked about before. He almost went to, I think it was Seattle or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like a rumor that was floating around. People were wondering what was going on with TJ because weren't you guys announcing players and TJ was not announced and everybody's wondering what the hell was going on with him?
Yeah, so they re-signed. We were all in 1+1, so they kept me, Ken, and Zach, I think.
Yeah.
I want to say, and then TJ did not get re-signed, so he re-signed a new deal.
Interesting. I mean, the offseason can always get really mixy because other teams are coming in. You don't know what's being offered to who. So it definitely could be a little fucking fugazi during the offseason.
Just for some background, this was, I would say, Austin, probably the main reason things took so long and you were in the dark is probably because, I mean, this is when OGLA was transferring their spot to Thieves, right? Like, it was
correct.
I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes, but like that has to be a pretty tiring process, no? Like, I don't work behind the scenes, but I mean, a $25 million league spot being transferred has to take some time. So that's probably
it was really, I mean, I don't really think it's anybody's fault. It's really unfortunate that it just happened at the time it did, and that we were in the dark for so long because it kind of messed up some of our plans. I don't think we ended up in a bad spot though. We still ended up picking up Donnie, and we started off somewhat decent in the beginning of the season. So
well, let's start, man. Let's start from the beginning of the season. I mean, kind of just break down what do you think happened early on? Why do you think your team ended up breaking apart? I mean, obviously the results are a big part of it. But things definitely got a little hairy, early on. Pretty quick for you guys. I mean, you guys made how many roster changes? Cap was was fucking, and it's not just
It was
cap,
like 10,
but
I think.
which Jesus
We're
fucking.
just sliding into the meme right away.
Fucking
no,
hell,
it's
that's a
not
lot of
just cap.
changes. And to be fair to, it's not just cap, obviously. We'll just say LA Thieves in general. To be fair to them, I mean, people want to see them change if they're not doing well. And then when they do change, I mean, people are never happy. I feel like when they change, people are bitching they're changing. If they don't change, people are bitching that they're not changing. So, I mean, the roster changes don't really bother me. Some of the moves that were being made might have bothered me, but I would like you to kind of break that down a little bit. Like, how did the changes end up unfolding with your team?
Yeah, so I'll just talk about it from my point of view, like what went wrong for me. And so at the beginning of the season, kind of a tough thing for me was I don't really open up a lot about my personal stuff. I hate putting it out there, like on social media and stuff like that. I never really tweet about my personal life. I keep it, I kind of distance. Everyone says like people's gamer tag, like there's Slasher and there's Austin. I try to keep Twitter and all that to Slasher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the season, it was a little bit before we started playing. My grandfather passed away, which is obviously devastating.
I'm sorry to hear
I had
that,
to
bro.
take some time.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I had to take some time off. Like I took like a weekend or so. I went home, spent some time with the family, came back, and that is the one thing. Like I said, I'm pretty good about distancing the two. So when I came back, we ended up actually starting 4-1, and I don't think that really affected me in game much at all. And I felt like we were on a good trajectory to, be a top caliber team. Then we kind of went into the first event or whatever it was, kind of flopped at that. We got 6th, which wasn't the worst thing in the world. Points wise, we were in a pretty decent spot, but there was already some like inner turmoil within the team. That was like, kind of didn't feel like we were as good as we should have been. Maybe we were getting lucky, and some of the preseason matches, and we needed to maybe make a change. And I think the community obviously pushed that as well. I think a lot of people were talking very negatively about us, and some people, when they get that in their head, it kind of hurts them.
Yeah.
So I think the community also helped push us to making a change faster than maybe we should have.
Yeah.
And that change ultimately ended up being Donnie out first.
So Donnie's the first one to go.
Yeah.
And then you guys, that was when you guys, who did you guys bring in after Donnie? Sorry, it's all a blur to me right now.
This is where we bring in Venom.
Okay, Venom, that's right. Venom comes in.
Yeah.
And that didn't last very long.
No, well, I was only on the team for approximately a week after that.
Yeah. Which is weird. Which is weird. How did that end up happening? Why was it a decision for them to move you to the bench? Like, how did that all unfold?
Yeah, so to talk about it a little bit, I don't really know. So fucking.
You don't? They never told you anything?
I mean, I have some different reasons, but some of them don't make sense to me. Okay, a lot of the community thought I wasn't good in the game, but at the time, I would say I wasn't as good as I could have been, but I was the only one on the team with over a 1 KD. And at the beginning of stage 2, we played against Toronto Ultra right when they made the change for Zen. My bad, Zen.
All right.
Unfortunate. But we beat that team, who ended up going on to win stage 2. And then against New York, approximately a week before I got benched, I had like 110 kill series, like 20k damage or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand where this whole stigma came from in the community that I wasn't playing well. Like, yeah, I could have been better, obviously, but so could a lot of people have been on the team. And then the other one is a lot of people just jump to the conclusions of me just being super tough on Venom. And I don't understand how I could have done that in a week's time, basically. Yeah. Because I think we're actually only together for 10 days or something like that. It was not long at all. And kind of jump into this is where again, some things in my personal life were happening, and I tried to get ahead of it and make sure I wasn't like snapping on Venom. So at the time, it was around the time we picked up Venom, I received a phone call from my mom, and anyone who knows me knows I'm really close with my mom. I talk to her day in and day out. She's really close to the scene, keeps up with it and all that. And I found out she was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow.
And that obviously hit me really hard at the time. I was away from my family in Dallas to play the game, obviously online. I couldn't really go back and visit them at the time. And that was just a scary moment for me, man. Like I've been pretty fortunate throughout my life to not really have to deal with stuff like that, but that one obviously was tough. And so I tried again, like I said, to distance myself. Okay, there's Austin, there's Slasher. Like when I'm in game mode, I need to, throw all these other things on the side and not think about it. And I was like, okay, we're picking up this new kid. I was like, I need to make sure I'm not, making him uncomfortable.
Right.
Like I need to get ahead of this. So I had a conversation with him one-on-one actually, and I was like, hey man, like I don't want you to feel intimidated. I know like obviously the way people talk about me, all this, blah, blah, like I don't want you to think that about me. I want you to speak up. I want you to, have a voice in the team. I want to turn this thing around and win. Like that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
You were one of the best players in challengers. Your team knew how to play the game. Like if you ever think I'm saying something stupid, if you ever think, you have a better way of playing the game, speak up. Like I want you to have an equal voice on this team. Like that's the way every team should be run. Like all players should have equal voices, right? So I had that conversation with him. I also had a conversation with management and said like, hey, like, look, I'm dealing with personal stuff. I didn't get into it too much because like I said, I don't like opening up. This is kind of the first time for me that I'm opening up about things.
Yeah.
And I told them like, listen, I'm dealing with some stuff on the personal side of things. Like if I'm ever, getting out of line, please like reach out to me. If I'm ever not giving full effort, please reach out to me right away. Like so I can kind of take a 5-minute break, snap out of it, and come back and not waste the rest of the scrim. Right?
Yeah.
And then like a week later, we played a weekend of matches of Venom. Obviously got smoked. I didn't play well. I'm not gonna sit here and say I did. None of us did. We just got shit on.
Yeah.
And then we played another match where Kenny couldn't even show up and play because he was dealing with some things. And then I got a phone call later that night, which actually after that match, I went home and fell asleep at like 7 p.m. or some shit. Like I woke up to a phone call at like 10, 11 o'clock saying that, they were going to bench me. And you guys know how I am, bro. Like I always have a lot to say. I think you could ask probably the management on that phone call. I think I only said okay and all right. Like I was literally so like caught off guard and so like mind blown that I literally didn't even like plead my case, which I kind of regret because I think I could have probably talked my way out of it. But yeah, I just sat there, was like, oh, okay, all right, and then just hung up after like 2 minutes, and then that was it.
Yeah, well,
do you think that the decision was driven, and if this is too like on the nose, you don't want to answer this question, like feel free not to. Do you feel like, post that weekend, do you feel like the decision to bench you was driven by management, or was it driven by players and then through management?
It's both, realistically, right? Like usually it's management and players. I never really think it's one or the other.
Always both.
Yeah. Very rarely is it one or the other. Like, yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Well, one,
it completely caught me off guard. Like, I don't know, doesn't make sense.
Well, I was just gonna say, one, I'm sorry to hear about your mom, bro, because I mean, that's one fuck
I appreciate
cancer.
that. It just so you guys know, like she's doing well now. They caught it early enough. She was able to go through surgery, and fingers crossed everything's good. But so far it has been. She's doing well. She's probably watching the show now, so heart spam in the fucking chat.
Yeah, drop some hearts, man. Let's get a Wama slasher in the chat. Let's get a Wama. Let's get some W's in here. Show some love. I'm glad that she's doing good, man. Cause I'm you're like how you are with your mom is how I am. You know how I am with my mom too.
Exactly. Same
just
thing.
like
She's
a mama's boy.
stream.
Yeah, watches the streams. She's so invested into it all. Like my mom was my rock when I competed. So my heart goes out to you, bro. It really does, and I'm happy that she's okay.
Thank you.
That's a
Appreciate
good thing. And I'm also happy to see you on a great team now. Because, I do want to talk about your LAG team a little bit. But before we get into LAG, I mean, just to finish out kind of like this LA Thieves stuff. So you go to the sideline, you end up you getting benched, and then you end up coming back into the team. Going into champs, I mean, we're going back to LAN and, Thanos on LAN. That's what we're talking about right there. So kind of how did that unfold, and were you excited to get back into it? What were the vibes like? Like, how was that? How did that all happen? How do you go from getting kicked or benched, like, without even knowing what for, and then getting pulled right back in? Like, how mentally that must just be so draining for you, just to kind of just be like.
Wait, Zin, did you have something to add as well, so I can kind of answer both?
The whole Kyler situation too, like about how, like just go ahead and then.
Okay, yeah, I'll kind of get into it a little bit because to kind of talk about the time away, that was another like situation. Like obviously, I had all these things I was dealing with. My time away from the game, that was a really tough moment. That's probably the hardest moment for me in my career. Like realistically, like I've had a very fortunate career. Like I've had some tough losses and stuff like that, but that's part of the game. But being away from my family and COVID lockdown and not playing the game, not doing what I love to do every day, like I have been for the past 8-9 years, it was tough, bro. Like I was in a bad spot. Thank God, shout out my boy Lamar. Thank God I was rooming with someone because he helped me out a lot because I was in a bad spot, bro. I was waking up at 8 p.m., sleeping 12 hours a day. I was not going to the gym. I was not doing nothing.
Yeah.
Not playing the game. Like I was in a bad spot. And I had a lot of good talks with him on the balc. And he kind of pulled me out of it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably about 3 weeks after, a month after, I was like, okay, the team is doing like, they're getting like 6, basically the same they did with me, but like none of them were really speaking to me. We had like no communication. I was not reaching out to them, obviously, because, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And then they were not really talking to me much. And so I was like, okay, well, my season's pretty much just chalked. Like, I can't do nothing. Like, what am I going to do? Just sit here and waste away my time?
Yeah.
And I kind of like snapped out of it. I started, waking up at a decent time. I started hitting the gym hard as fuck. Like, you guys know how I am, bro. I was like, instead of being like sad and whatever, just sitting there and wasting away my time, I got angry and I just got in the gym, bro. I started going hard as fuck. I started hopping back into 8s, grinding as much as possible. I was like, fuck it. Like, I'll be back next year. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna worry about this shit. And then after like 2 months, I think, of being benched, they hit me up and they were like, yo, do you want to come back? And I was like, dude, like, come on, I want to fucking play the game. Like, but that was like a really like I was like instantly like, yeah, I want to play. But then after I hung up the phone, I was sitting there and I was like, bro, my stock is in the worst spot it's ever been. I have not practiced for realistically 2 months. I have like 2 weeks to prepare for a tournament. I'm playing against the best players in the world. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember sitting there like, holy shit.
It's a huge disadvantage, bro. I mean, you're playing against people who have been grinding the game for like a good time, and you're coming back in after just mentally going through so much. Like I think like your mental strength through this all is like super like admiring, honestly. Like it's very, very difficult to do that. So go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, so I was just like, bro, like, what am I gonna do? So I was like, you know what, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm just gonna be the best I can be. Like, I'm gonna come back. We're going back to LAN. Like, I've been talking about it. That's another thing. I've been talking about this shit for 2 years. I was like, I'm gonna fucking, like, I was like psyching myself out. I was like, I'm gonna go and perform, like I always have done.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing, bro. I hopped on the game. I was playing pubs. Like, you know me. I was playing fucking pubs. I don't play pubs. I was shooting bots. I was doing literally everything in my power. I was like, bro, I'm gonna show up and literally be just as good as I was, like, or just as good as I've always been.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally just got on the grind. I did my thing. I showed up to practice. I was watching bot on my own. Lamar was watching stuff in the living room all the time. Sometimes I'd go out there and watch stuff with him. And I just fucking did my thing. And I came back and I feel like I performed, especially in hardpoint and S&D.
But you fried.
I feel like I was actually disgusting at hardpoint and S&D. My control was off. I should have been way better than that. But overall, I'm pretty happy with my performance considering everything.
No, you fried for sure. You were doing your thing. Go ahead, Ben.
So 2 questions, Austin, if you don't mind. So like during sort of the gap when you were on the bench and before you came back on, were you still like in regular comms with Kenny and all the other folks on the team in terms of like keeping up with the team, where they were at, their mindset, all that, or was it pretty like sparse communications?
No, there was almost no communication. That was kind of the thing that bugged me too, is somehow I feel like somehow in the community I was made out to be the bad guy for not like reaching out and speaking to them, which doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't think people realize, dude, like, this is all new, bro. When you got dropped, you didn't talk to your fucking teammates back then. Now, because there's a bench, everybody's like, it's kind of like, I would compare it to F1, right? It's like your teammates, but like, Lewis Hamilton wants to beat his teammate, right? Even though they're teammates. It's kind of like similar where it's like you don't get benched and then sit there with a fucking foam finger and just wave your hand for your team.
Yeah, it's not like that.
Definitely
Like,
not.
at all.
And I don't care who wants to make it that way, who's trying to make it that way. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I really don't care to even entertain the fact that someone's going to do that.
And one thing I will say too, I forgot to mention this earlier. When I was benched, I was under the impression that, like, I remember specifically them saying on the phone that this is not like, well, like Donnie got dropped. Like that was the way it was perceived, like he was no longer going to be on the team. They were like, it's not going to be like that. Like we're going to give this a run and see how it goes. So I was under the impression at first that I was coming back. You know what I mean? Like even their tweet, I'm pretty sure said we're going to give him a break. Like people thought I stepped away on my own for a little bit.
Yeah,
which,
the tweet
again,
was worded weird.
Yeah, again, like bro, if you know me, like I'm not doing that. Like
yeah.
Tom and I were on this show. Like Austin's come back for champs. Like
yeah, we said that. Yeah, we said that. Just because the way they worded it, how like they worded it as if it like you were just taking time to yourself. Like that's kind of how they worded it.
Yeah, it was very odd because then like you said, like were you in contact with them? I was not at all for a long time. So then after like 3-4 weeks went by, I'm like, okay, that's not just a break. Like I'm chalked. It is what it is. Like because I tried to make moves to join other teams, nothing really like panned out, and so I was like, okay, this season's just over.
Yeah, no, it just happened so fast. And then when you came back into the team, you had to deal with even more problems. Right? Like when you came back, the problems just continue to happen.
Wait, hold on. Let me real quick because it kind of is a blur for me. At one point, Thieves I would say was like a top 3, top 4 team in the game. Like scrims, like everybody was saying Thieves was looking really good. What roster iteration was that? You were on the team, weren't you?
That was Kenny, Venom.
No, that was.
Oh, you weren't on the team.
TJ?
Okay. Oh,
that was like 3 weeks after I got benched, but
yeah, but the only thing with that team at that point is they played a lot on the same map over and over against teams. So like
they only.
I mean, I'm just
Checkmate.
telling you what the agenda. I'm telling you what the agenda was throughout the community. Like when Thieves were looking their best, they made another change to get Kyler.
Yeah.
Because Kyler was like, so this is where Hook kind of comes into play. You know, it's kind of getting to that point of the season. Hook ends up getting removed from the Dallas roster. Everybody starts freaking the fuck out. They're like, Mano, what the fuck's going on? This guy's all of a sudden, he's not with the Dallas team. People are like, he was a superstar player for them. It doesn't make any sense. I guess LA Thieves thought, that must be a player that they can't pass up on. And they ultimately make the decision to go out and go get Hook. But then you guys bring in Hook, and then trying to talk to us about that. Like when you guys brought in Hook, how did that end up falling apart? Because then Hook finds himself on the bench.
Dude, I could not tell you. I was not in contact with anyone at the time. They dropped TJ for Hook, and it was Hook, Raza, Venom, and Kenny. I have no idea what was going on in that time period.
Yeah.
I just know they brought him in. Everyone is saying they're a top 3 team, but I think they only placed the same as when they had me on the team, which was 6th.
Yeah,
they had that
honestly,
run.
I meant like scrims. Like I meant like they were looking the best they've ever looked, and then in matches they looked the best too. Granted, I mean, bro, to be fair, they played checkmate all year though. Like towards the end of the year too. I see Kenny in the chat calling cap on the fact that was the only map they played.
Obviously, it's not the only map they're gonna play, but people chose to
their
scrub
best map
them
was
on
of
the
course.
map.
Yeah, their map.
Yeah,
their map was check.
They were beating good teams on it. They kept pulling up to you guys, Ken, over and over, and we're like, we'll beat these guys on checkmate. And you guys kept winning, and you guys were riding that wave. But to agree with Austin's point, like I think you guys never kind of cracked that next level. But go ahead, Austin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was just speaking on the Kyler thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they were ever like a top 3 team. They consistently placed 6th the entire time, like with me, without me, like period. Like that's just the fact. Then they brought in Kyler, which I could see the move. Like, they were good. They didn't probably believe they could win yet. And then Kyler, obviously being the talent he was, like they're like, okay, this could be an upgrade. Let's make it happen. And then they did it, and then just things fell apart. I don't know behind the scenes at all. Like I said, I wasn't really talking to them. So yeah.
Bro, the whole Hook thing was weird because then you had the whole COVID thing. He misspelled his name, and that was
when I was actually on the team.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You were on the team, and more problems kept happening. Like the name spelling was definitely. I mean, that's just. What are you gonna do about that? I mean, Hook was definitely a little bit of a meme for a little while, fucking with
Hold on, but I do feel like we're underselling that Thieves was looking good before they made that change, though. Like, would they lose 6-5 last map to FaZe? I think they beat Optic. Then they didn't even get to play in that tournament where they were starting to look good because they made that change. And granted, like from like a management side, I'm sure there were a lot of teams that fucking saw Kyler on the market and then said, okay, like this is a once in a lifetime grab. Let's go grab him. Obviously, it didn't pan out that way, but I do understand the original thinking of like going to get Kyler. But the point is, when they were looking their best, they made a change before they got a chance to play that tournament. And who knows? Maybe they would have went there and shit the bed, but they didn't even get the chance because they made a change when they were looking at their best.
The way I look at it, though, is if you're really that confident and you really believe you're a top 3 team, you're not making that change.
Yeah. So
Right?
there must have been some confidence issues, or even with some good results, they probably still didn't feel good about themselves. We also don't know what was going on in practice. You know, like maybe in practice they weren't performing how they like to perform. I really don't know. I mean, that's some of the questions we have to ask some of the guys who are on the team. I see Kenny in the chat right now talking about it.
So our champs team was the best version. What was the champs roster?
Me, John, Ken, and Zach.
Gotcha.
And I agree. I think that was the best version of you guys as well. I think the champs team, and who knows what would have happened. Like, for instance, if you had that team from the start, you know, just grinding from the start.
Yeah, if we'd gotten that team a lot earlier, I think by stage 5 champs time, we would have actually been a contender. Because, I mean, I think we lost like 1 hard point on LAN. Like, we played top teams too. Like, we beat Dallas in a hard point. We beat like Minnesota in both hard points. Like, problem was S&D in control, which, shocker, you need time to work on as a team, and we didn't have that. And I mean, I think like even champs is very unfortunate. I think John too is catching a lot of flack, but I want to kind of praise John a little bit because he brought like a new life to the team, at least from what I've seen. He had like a really good work ethic. It was like a whole new revamped John from what I knew. Like that guy was working out before scrims there early, you know, wanting to go over VOD, wanting to do the extra work. Like, he was taking that shit serious. And before champs, I think he was our best player in scrims. Like, he was frying. I was like, holy shit, like John might actually be back. Going to champs, you know, like I was like, damn, we're starting losers 1, but I was like, bro, we might actually have a shot.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, we might actually be able to do something here. And then it just unfortunate the way it played out there.
Yeah, because looking at
he had one bad match too. Sorry to cut you off, man. He had one bad match, and you know how the fans like. I even see a bunch of people in the chat like John was ass. John was ass. No, he wasn't. John was actually good.
Bro, hold on.
But he had a bad match, and that's all people talk about.
I agree with you guys, but you got to pick one side or the other because you can't look at this depending on the player. And just because it's John, oh, he had one bad match. If it was someone else, you'd be sitting here saying this guy was fucking shit. So you got to be consistent throughout the board. Like, there are plenty of people who have had one bad match and their career is chalked. And it's like, I agree with you, but we got to stay consistent to that mindset then, because it has to go throughout all players.
To talk about that is like, I've just had a lot of experience with John, and so I've played with him for a long time and I know how he is. And just like speaking on all of the maps and scrims and stuff like that, like I truly believed like that he was good at that game at that time. Like, I think he was really good.
He was playing well.
That's why I would send him.
It's good to hear that, Austin, because I know in the past John always hasn't been the like, you know, top tier 100% first guy in, last guy out kind of mentality. But good to hear that this year, like, he was putting in the mindset to try and boost you guys and bring like a little bit of overperformance as you guys kind of up and down the air.
Yeah. And I'm curious to know what happens with John next. Because, like Austin said, he was looking like the best player in the game. He has one bad match. I know, Zinni, I know, like, you know, everybody's looked at differently. I mean, it is John. John is John. He's been very successful in the past. And even coming into it, he was playing well. Like, when he first came into the team, I remember John was doing his thing. I just don't think one series should define a player, personally. And I honestly don't even know if he's going to end up on a team now. I don't know what John's doing. Like, I guess we'll wait and see. Has he been involved in any of the rumored rosters?
Not that I know of.
I haven't seen his name at all.
Not that I've heard, Tom, but what I'll say is the same thing we say always in Roster Mania with sub players is that a lot of teams, and the number of teams may be double digits once again, will make changes. So it is entirely possible that if John doesn't end up on a team to start the season, he may end up on a team by mid-season when they start rotating players out when teams struggle.
Yeah,
I mean, being an SMG player, sorry to cut you off, is just an advantage. Like, to get into, like, the odds of an SMG player breaking into the league, in my opinion, are a lot higher than an AR. And then honestly, I think main AR is probably the hardest, flex second hardest, but like SMG, that there's just simply more SMGs. So let's say he doesn't start out in the league and he's playing well. Like I would be very shocked if he didn't end up in the league. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, as an SMG player, you're matching up against Simp and Abizi. You're matching up against Shotzi.
Yeah.
You're matching up against, just some of the top of the top, the best sub players. So it's I mean, John did definitely had to come in, and he wasn't playing against easy people, that's for sure. I mean, John had to come in.
I mean, John was... Go ahead. Awesome.
Oh, my bad. I was just going to say, to speak on it a little bit, I remember having a talk with John when we first picked him up. And because he honestly started off, he wasn't doing that well. Like, we as a team were doing pretty well. Like, we played FaZe pretty close. I remember we lost by like 10 points in the checkmate hardpoint. I had that sick, like, round 11 Moscow where we beat them in a S&D. I don't know if you guys remember that, where I finessed around the statue, and then we almost, like,
I remember
won, like, another map. I think we played him really tough, but like John wasn't dropping the best stats. And I remember him like talking about it. He's like, dude, like, this is like a different ball game. Like, now I see, like, I'm playing against these guys rather than playing against challenge. Like, you don't get that same level of practice in challengers necessarily. Like, you go from playing, I don't even know like who the top subs are in challengers, but you go to playing them to playing freaking Simp and Abizi. It's a different ball game, and he needed time to adjust. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he just got thrown into the freaking pits right away. Like, yeah, like, bro. And he was like, dude, like, this is a different ball game. Like, I need to get better.
Yeah. I mean, bro, I say it all the time. The talent in the league right now is fucking insane. I keep saying this because it's just, bro, when I look at the rumored rosters on paper, to me is like one of the most balanced leagues I've ever seen in COD. Like, it's just, it's one of the most talented teams I've ever seen in COD. There's just so much talent from across the board. Even as some of the teams, like, you have the teams at the top, like FaZe and Dallas, the rumored Optic, right? You see some of those guys, LA Thieves at the top. And then you even look at teams from like 5 through 10 that are just insane. They're insane as well. Like, they're really fucking good. It's a lot of good, well-rounded COD players that are just battling it out in a league. And like you said, Austin, you don't get practice like that in challengers. You just don't.
Yeah, you don't.
So
that's why, like, a lot of people were asking me too, like, why I didn't go down to play it.
It's fucking miserable. That's why.
I mean, dude, like, I thought about it. Honestly, Lamar talked me into it for a second there at the end. Like, when I was about to play with him, and then I got picked back up. But freaking, dude, I just looked at it and I was like, this is a lose-lose. Like, I go down and win, cool. That does nothing for me.
Nobody cares.
I go down and lose, everyone's like, ha, this guy fucking lost in Challenger. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing down here? Like, there's nothing to gain. Like, I could only lose stock and stuff like that. There's no point. And the practice is not even that good anyways. Half the time I'm going to be playing on a host fuck. Like, what's the point?
Thank God you're saying it, because if I say it, I'm making excuses. So thank you, Austin.
That is the biggest thing with challengers is the hosting, bro. I mean, I was watching some of the events, and people were literally making teams based off their locations. There was a team that was like 3 West Coast. There was this team that was Toronto, right? Or there was a Canada team that was doing so well.
Wester, Easter, Team
Wester, Easter, Team Canada, like all these teams, they literally formed. Oh, they literally formed so they can host fuck teams and challengers. You know, like I feel like that's all it was trying to host fuck teams and try and figure out a way. There wasn't any like servers. You know how like the franchise league, like sometimes we'd have servers where they'd find like the most fair server. It wasn't like that in challengers. People were legit hosting. So it was just, bro, that sounds fucking terrible. Like, that
it sounded miserable. That's why I was like, dude, there's no way I want to go play this. I was like, I'm just gonna play 8s. But unlucky for me, nobody was fucking playing 8s. So I was like, well, what am I supposed to do, bro?
Tom and I thought that was quite odd. We had a couple of guests come on, especially around the end of the spring, and we would always ask them, like, what are you doing, like, outside of scrims? And people were just like, just chilling, because 8s are just not popping. And it's so weird because of how competitive the league is now. There was a lot of players that rotated in now. You would think that there were a lot of people that wanted to grind. Instead, it was, basically dead for 2 or 3 months straight.
Dude, it makes no sense to me. Go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say, how did that happen? Like, how did 8s die? Why did everybody stop playing? Do you guys know?
Sense.
Or does it legit make no sense?
It doesn't make sense. As the game progresses, 8s become less and less more frequent. So as the stakes get higher, I mean, I said this before, right? If you're Simp and you're a BZ, you don't need to be an 8s. Want to know why? Because you're the #1 team, you're performing. There is absolutely no excuse for the 6 through 12 players to not be an 8s. And it's like,
Teams.
oh, 8s make you worse. You can't get fucking worse than 8th. I mean, you're already shit.
Yeah,
So you can't
yeah.
get worse by playing the game more. So your excuse only works if you're Simp, Abeezy, Cammy, Shotzi. I don't want to hear it from the fucking bottom 4.
I think that's where it comes in, though. A lot of these people are like, well, Simp's not playing 8s, so I don't need to play 8s. And
yeah, you're not Simp,
I think
he never played 8s or 10s.
Like, you are shit, brother.
I
You're
think that's
Simp.
a terrible thing. It's like, all right, well, Simp's not playing 8s. Fuck it. I'm going to go play 8s and get this advantage on him. He's not grinding 8s. I'm going to grind 8s and get a little bit of an edge. Like, that's the way I look at it. You know what I mean?
Simp has a 1.3. You have a 0.6.
But like, bro,
you
for
get
years,
your ass in that lobby, boss.
Tom, you know, I mean, you guys both know. Bro, for years, the best players were always playing 8s.
Yeah, they were.
Jetpacks, CODs, who was in 8s all the time? Optic players, me, my team, LG, Tom, FaZe, like all these players were playing 8s tournaments, bro. Like we were grinding, and the best players always came from 8s.
And I would tune in the afternoon to Jerry's stream, and everybody was out there. Not only piecing on people, Jerry would be doing his thing. Like all of the good players play, and I wonder if that's sort of the golden era.
I mean,
8s.
I mean, hold on, bro. 8s are also important. Like, bro, the reason, dude. So I almost got. I had interest from some. After I got benched, I had interest from some CDL teams, and that was because of how good I was playing in 8s. No one gives a fuck how well I'm playing in challengers, and I don't care if they say that you do. They really don't. Me in Pro 8s playing the best in the lobby, that is what actually had eyes on me. Like, bro, I had coaches DMing me saying like, dude, like you're playing really well. You're like literally random coaches would hit me up and be like, dude, you're playing incredible. Like that was a lot more impactful than playing challengers. And the fact that there were people in the league that weren't playing fucking 8s actually boggles my mind, especially towards champs, which makes no sense. Like, you are about to not have a career. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, no, damn it. And I noticed it the most because I was watching 8s a lot on my stream. I was doing like casting 8s, like where I would like just cast it and watch it because it was super entertaining. Like 8s is fun to watch. It's good content to see people play. And it is, bro, Zinni's not wrong. Like 8s is a good place to showcase yourself.
Bro, you're playing against the best players in the world.
Yeah, it's a really good place.
I don't care what anyone said. It is good. If you approach it with the right mindset, you're going to be put into real game situations. You're going to be put into situations you will see in matches consistently. And also, you never know when some guy on a better team might slip up and say, yo, hit this. And then it's going to make you think, why did he say to do that right now? Is that good? Is that what his team does? You never know. Like, I remember there was times where in, like, Jetpacks COD, I think someone was talking about it recently. Krim said something like, yo, make sure we rotate here. And he was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. It's like, dude, like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, you never know when you could just get one little thing, one little edge, one little advantage that leads you to getting one extra kill. And, bro, one kill can change the course of a whole game.
Yeah. I mean, bro, the way I look at it, too, is Call of Duty drops a new game every year. Yeah. Every year. So the best way to learn a new game of COD is repetition. The more reps you get, the more you play it, the better you're going to get, the more you're going to learn about it. You're going to learn the in and outs of it. And going into the biggest tournament of the year, which comes at the end of the year, why wouldn't people be playing? Like, it was frustrating.
I think Zim's point is probably, this is the second or third time you brought it up, and every time you brought it up, I think it's 100% on point. Totally understandable for the top teams. You don't want to come in.
You don't want to teach.
Strats or power spots that you use, angles, plays. Like, you're going to go in there, you don't want to teach. But everybody else who's struggling, especially in respawn, there's no reason not to take the extras and grind and try and figure out what other people are doing and get better as a team or get better individually.
It's also just showing your work ethic and just like showing that you care enough to be good. Like, even if you don't think 8s is the end, first off, 8s compared to scrims, 8s is the second best thing. League play is not better. Shooting bots is not better. 8s is better, and I don't care what anybody says. It just like show people that you care. Show your teammates you care. Like, if you're not playing well in matches and you're not putting in the extra effort, as a teammate, I'd be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
If I'm going out there and giving my all, I'm playing 8s and I'm performing, and my teammate isn't performing and he's not even going the extra step to show me he cares, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. But I mean, Austin, so you go into your team with, during champs and everything, and then when the year is over, you played well. I think you, like, everybody was talking about you on LAN. I mean, it was a huge difference to see you on LAN versus online. You're just one of those players that is just clearly better on LAN. Like, I don't say that about everybody. I only say that about, like, Octane's another one for me who's just, like, on LAN, he's just different. Like, he's way
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why, by the way. Like, I still don't, because Austin, like, before when you were in Cali, it made sense. Then you were in Texas, and you still are better in LAN. I'm not sure if it's because other people get worse. I generally don't know what it is. What do you think it is, honestly?
It's multiple
mindset?
different. I mean, maybe. I don't know if I could like. It could be a mental thing, but how would I even know? You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be able to like people like have said like, oh, you just don't try online, bro. That's not the case.
Game's also different. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how close the pings are. I don't care if all 8 players are in Texas. LAN
the game is
miles away.
Yeah,
different.
Period. The game is different. Like pre-aiming, holding certain angles is different. A big thing for me too is I've never played with my game sound super loud. You cannot sound whore on LAN. Like I don't know who thinks you can, but you cannot. I do not get sound whore on LAN. In hardpoint, people rely on sound cues and bailouts, whereas I just know where you are based on the minimap, spawns, awareness, and stuff like that. Whereas like I feel like that distanced me from like other players. And there's just a lot of factors that add up that when we just are in that environment and stuff like that, I just play better. People get worse, I think.
No, for sure. I think it's the environment for me. I think just some people just get worse. I think that's the main argument. Now, it gets weird because online they try to make it as fair as possible with the servers and, you know, all that shit. It's just simply not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
I think it's not the same for certain players. Not every. I feel like for majority of the other part, it's kind of similar, but there's definitely certain players, especially AR players, who just perform better on LAN, and that's just how it is.
I think the AR just gets better on LAN too.
Yeah,
like,
the AR is better because you can just pre-aim and hold angles like you said, and you know you can't get cameraed as hard. Like you can actually just outposition people, outplay people. It's just easier.
It's also extremely hard to mentally, replicate like a LAN environment in a team facility or an apartment. And that's something like the first year. I mean, first off, not much you can do. COVID threw a wrench in things, but like I was telling my team, like we have to try and replicate the LAN mindset in our apartments, and it's like so hard to actually do. Whereas like if you think about like your LAN routine, it's just a very different feeling. You wake up in the hotel, you get breakfast as a team. It's like you guys are together the entire time. There's like a different energy in it. When you're waking up in your apartment, you're walking 5 steps to your setup. It is extremely hard to mentally replicate like just being on the stage.
I think it's actually impossible to replicate. You can only get close.
Like, you can get close, but there's nothing near the LAN main stage Call of Duty gameplay.
Well, that's why some esports teams have started to like their practice room. They start to rig lights and like almost like create that like
make it cold as fuck.
Like almost take all of that extra stuff that you can kind of do and make it kind of replicate that environment. I also think, Austin, to your earlier point, like I always wonder if timings also play a little bit differently on LAN, and as an AR, people just aren't doing as weird stuff, so you're just able to get in those power positions and things become like pace-wise a little bit easier for you to kind of set up and get into your sort of route of power position. I
mean, that definitely could be a factor. People play different. Like they think through their decisions more when they're on stage, and maybe more predictable. Maybe they get nervous and don't make the dumbass play. Like, you know what I mean? Like teams online, they might fucking 4-hit mid an S&D, but on LAN, you're not really doing that unless you're Tommy. Like Tommy would just hit mid anyways and say fuck it. But
yeah,
not a lot of people have that.
I mean, that's
mentality.
why I like LAN is because mentally people just weren't confident. They just lost confidence on LAN. It was just that's just how it is. They get, I don't know if it's like a nerves thing with like the crowd or a lot of people watching more at stake, but you know, people definitely play differently on LAN. But Austin, you end up going to LAN, you go to champs, and you absolutely fry.
Yeah.
You looked like yourself. You were frying. So what happened after the season? How did the LAG come up? What happened with LA Thieves? Like, kind of, what was your offseason like as soon as champs ended? You know, people start talking right away. Yeah. That's how it always goes.
First off, thank God I fucking fried, because that kind of saved my stock. I think I was in a really bad spot, and if I just went and played whatever, like, I don't know what would have happened. Because I mean, the whole community, even just like reading a lot of the things about me and stuff like that, like people were legit calling for me to retire when I was benched and stuff like that.
They're insane.
I remember, like, you guys know me, bro. I'm a really confident person, especially in game and stuff like that. Like, I could take comments. I read all the comments. I love to feed off that like negative energy. But for the first time when I was benched, I was like, you know what? Maybe it is my time. Like, it actually crossed my mind. And then thank God coming back, like it kind of revived me in a sense, you know what I mean? Like playing on LAN and doing my thing. And I was like, man, these fools are stupid, bro. Like I still got it. Like I'm still that fucking guy. Like that's the way I think about it. And it helped my stock so much going into the off season, because I knew I was going to have to make a move, because I fucking knew 8 months ago they were picking up Octane. You know what I mean? Like I had that feeling 8 months ago.
Everybody knew. I fucking knew 2 years ago.
I had that feeling I was out.
I thought it was
8
a
months
meme.
ago.
I
Nah,
thought it was just kind of like a troll.
There's just a
that felt
vibe,
like
bro.
destiny.
You get, and I just knew I wasn't gonna be on the team, and Octane was gonna be on the team a long ass time ago. But I was like, bro, when I said I was fighting, I remember there was a big clip. I was like, oh, I'm fighting for my spot. No, I wasn't fighting for my spot on that team. There was no chance. I had no chance to stay on that team. I was like, I'm fighting for a spot on a better team. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna move somewhere else. Like, it is what it is. Like, I dropped a 1.4. That shit don't matter. They start getting Octane. Like, that's just what they wanted to do. I could tell that's what they wanted to do for the longest time. And I was like, I'm gonna move on and do my thing.
I still think you would have been fine, personally. I just feel like you're just a top AR. Bro, just looking at some of the other ARs in the league, like I thought you would have got on the team regardless, but it definitely helped you by frying. That's for sure. And you probably knew that going in, like, I need to fucking fry right here.
Dude, I did. I remember talking.
Which is a lot of pressure, bro. I had
a lot of talks with Lamar. I was like, bro, I have to go in and fucking fry. Like, not only because my stock is on the line, but like, I've been talking about LAN online for 2 years.
Yep.
I was like, if I go and fucking hit the sheets, like, everything I've been talking about is just a fucking lie. I've been lying to the world. You know what I mean? I was like, I gotta put my money where my mouth is type thing. Like, I gotta go prove I haven't been bullshitting. And I think I did that, even though the team didn't, like, we didn't win or anything like that. I think personally, I went and performed. Yeah,
no, you definitely performed. And after Champs happens, how did they tell you? Did they tell you right away that they're not re-signing you? Did you think there was still a chance you can get on LATs, or you knew it was chalked and you just had to find somewhere else?
I played the game. I knew I wasn't on the team, but I was like, keeping options open just in case, because I talked to Anva a little bit. I thought he might want to play with me. So I was like, he's probably going to want to go to Thieves, so maybe I could try to swing that there. I played the game. Like I said, kept the options open. You kind of have to. This roster mania was very sketchy. Usually, like, going into roster mania, my stock was like ridiculous, and I can kind of just do whatever I wanted. This is the first time I had to, like, be very careful. And I kind of didn't get told for a long time. Even though like I said, I knew 8 months ago, so I already knew what was going on. I was like, I mean, I talked to you a little bit, Tom. I talked to LAG and stuff like that. I was making moves on the side pretty much the entire time.
But you have to do.
Options open.
You have to. You have to talk to people, because if you don't, you're just gonna get forgotten about. Like, you need to make sure that you're in the conversations. And it's crazy how that works, bro. How, like, you have to get involved with the conversations with other players and stuff, where, like, kind of like in real sports, I feel like that's not really the case.
It's so political. I mean, it truly is. Like, bro, like, people call it a friendship league, and that's untrue. I don't think teams are solely, but, like, there is friendship involved in it. Like, people definitely talking to people and being involved is very important. You can't just sit back and let things unfold and think people are going to come to you, because most of the time there's someone who's being proactive, talking to the right person, and it's like, well, now you lost your spot.
Here's what I'll say to that, Zen.
Within reason. It depends on your stock. I mean, if you're a top 10 player in the league, it's like, okay.
Yeah. I think you've got a point. I do think that sometimes some of the teams that were done in year 1, year 0 were a little friendship leaguey, but, like, just like in business and real life, like, relationships are key. You've got to maintain relationships with people, different people, because you don't know the value to your career or mutually beneficial arrangements, both from, like, a professional standing or a personal or whatever. So, like, to that point, I agree with you on that.
So, Austin, after everything unfolds, whatever, you're not on the team, how did the LAG team end up happening? How did it end up forming? How were the talks involved with that? And how are you feeling going into the next season with the squad?
So obviously LAG acquired Kyler very early. I think he was their first move. I was a completely free agent. There was some misconception around that. People were trying to say that LAG had to buy me out. I was completely free. Like, my 1+1 was up. I was able to go wherever I pleased. And so they had Kyler. I was talking to Asim a decent amount. Me and Asim kind of grew close. Obviously, when he moved out to Texas, we worked out a little bit, hung out and stuff like that. We were talking about maybe making something happen. He really wanted to play with Pierce. So those kind of three really wanted to play together really bad and kind of grouped up pretty quick, to be honest. Because I was looking at other things too about possibly playing with Reese. I feel like Reese has been slept on this offseason. It's kind of mind-blowing to me that I still haven't seen him really on a team. He was one of my big targets, but ultimately after figuring out what I wanted to do and stuff like that, I was like, this team of three, it just makes sense. Like, Kyler, one of the most talented players, I think he's kind of been disrespected the past year or so. Hopefully he's got that fire, get back to what he was in like MW.
Yeah.
Asim kind of like gap role filler and stuff like that, and just a good person to have on a team. And I think he's gonna help me a lot.
His mindset.
Yeah, he's gonna just help me a lot, like steer the team in the right direction. And then Pierce, I played with him before. I won with him before. People have this like thing that like, oh, we just clashed heads and we're mortal enemies and stuff like that. But one thing to always remember about me is, bro, I'm trying to win at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will do everything in my power to win. Pierce is one of the best flex players out there, period. Like, I'm not going to let past differences get in the way of that. So we talked on the phone, squashed all that. Like, we're here to both win. Like, we both have the same kind of mindset. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to do everything in our power to win. We both can be stubborn at times, but it is what it is. We're competitors.
Yeah.
Have you had a lot of conversations with like Ricky and Bevels since you joined the team? And like, what's your feel on that?
Yeah, we've talked a lot. I talked mostly to Rick, but we went to LA to do some things and stuff like that, shoot some content stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've known those guys for a decent amount of time. I've heard good things about them. Obviously, I played against Rick too. Like, I know the way he thinks. Bev, I know the way he thinks. They were really good S&D players and stuff like that. And so I'm excited to get to work with them. And I think having two guys will help us a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the team on paper. I think it's a great team. I think not just because on paper it's talented, but I just think the personalities and the mindset of the team, I think you guys are going to be in a good headspace. I just think you guys are going to be on the right track early on and do what you need to do to get the W. And that's just why I like the team, honestly. But Ben, what were you going to say?
Sorry, I was going to say, like,
you're good.
From your like POV with the team, what do you think? All right, phrase this correctly. I think going back to the Pierce comment, I saw a couple of comments in chat talking about your relationship with Kyler. Is it the same? Do you think there's some misconceptions about that MV team from World War II that didn't work well? And do you think like you guys are kind of on good terms, both from that team, but also when you guys had a brief stint together on Thieves?
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Kyler talked about it a little bit. The thing is like a lot of people, oh, we didn't work in World War II, all this, but it's not like a me and Kyler together didn't work type of thing. Our team of four did not work. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a me versus him problem. It just didn't work as a four, me, him, Donnie, and Nick.
Yeah.
And then in the Cold War, obviously he had the problems with the COVID test and all that, and I was really upset with him for that in the moment. But we talked about it. I'm over it. Like, I'm here to win.
Yeah.
And
you can't hold that over his head.
I'm not gonna hold grudges. Yeah, I'm not gonna hold grudges, bro. Like, I'm trying to win and assemble the best roster possible to win. Like, it is what it is. Kyler's super fucking talented. He made a mistake. Get over it. Let's move forward.
Yeah. And that's a good mindset to have. Focus on what's next. Focus on one day at a time. Don't hold grudges on the past or focus too much on the past, because listen, man, people make mistakes, man. Kyler misspelled his name by accident. It was a typo. Listen, man, his thumb hit the wrong key, probably typing it in on his phone. Ended up being a typo, and it ended up costing him the event, which is kind of crazy that a typo like that can, like, they take it that seriously.
Yeah.
I guess that's just how it needs to be. But I mean, listen, I don't blame you for not holding that over his head and just trying to find the best team to win. So I like that. Ben, before we get into some Reddit questions, anything else you want to ask Austin? Because there's a lot of great questions on Reddit too. I think this is kind of looking at some of the questions on Reddit. These are some of the best questions we got, I think, from Reddit. So I'm excited to hop in and ask them.
Tom, do you want to talk about? So we have one news item. Newsy rumor item.
I was gonna talk about that after the Reddit questions, but we could talk about that now if you want.
We should do that before the Reddit questions.
All right, let's do it.
Meow.
Yeah, he's meowing and he's on demon mode and all kinds of shit.
I wasn't at my mic. That wasn't even me. Meow.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't even you. Well, listen, let's switch over screens here and let's tell you guys a little bit about kind of what we're talking about. There's been some rumors floating around. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about the DC team coming in. Demon Cats, the team name that's the team name that people think is going to be coming into the league. Demon Cats. What are you guys' thoughts on the Demon Cats? The fuck is that?
I mean,
I'm sure they're going to be a great organization.
You know what?
What diplomatic answers in?
You know what it is too though, because I actually didn't know this. My mom was putting it in the chat a little bit when we were talking about it before the show. But Demon Cats is kind of like there's a lot of history behind it in DC, I guess. I'm not sure exactly.
Really?
Yeah, there's like a lot of history.
DC,
Yeah.
I guess I kind of go. Well, what's the history?
Here I could find it.
saw it on Twitter. It's like
on
people were
Reddit.
replying. Apparently, it's like I don't know. There's history with the actual city
I just
and
looked it
like
up.
the name Demon Cats.
You looked it
The
up?
demon cat, also referred to as DC, is a name given to a ghost of a cat which is purported to haunt the government buildings of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
See,
interesting.
here's the thing. If that was like a known thing by everybody, I think it's actually kind of cool because like it actually has meaning to the actual city.
It's not
kind of
bad.
like the Ultra squirrel. Everybody's like, why the fuck is the Ultra logo a squirrel? It's because that white squirrel is like super famous in Toronto, where it's like it's sometimes spotted, like very similar.
I honestly would have to see the branding, jerseys, like all that, bro. It's so hard because like I remember when CDL was first getting announced and like subliners came out. Right, and I was like, dude, this is freaking whack. I was like, what is this, bro? This has got to be the worst thing ever. And then as the like season went on, I was like, you know what? This is kind of growing on me a little bit. I kind of fuck with it.
Bro,
Like,
I remember when we had a meeting, right? Because so when we signed with New York, we didn't know what the team name was. We had no idea. We were so curious to know what it was because we're representing New York City. We were like, what are we gonna be? New York Empire, like the Empire State Building, like that sounded fire, like New York Empire. And for those of you who don't know, the Empire team, the league wanted to give that to the New York team. New York was supposed to be called New York Empire.
That would have been sick.
But the reason why New York didn't do that is because of copyright reasons. You can't with merchandise and shit like that because the Empire State Building, like New York Empire State, like there's just you could just relate it to so many different things where it would be hard to work around like copyrighted shit.
Isn't New York Empire also like, doesn't that exist as like a professional sports team currently?
Does it?
They're like a professional frisbee team. I'm pretty confident on that one.
I don't know. And then there were some other names floating around. So it's funny. I have a story. So we sat down with the whole team when we were finding out what the team name was, and I was sitting next to Donnie. And they said the name's gonna be Subliners. Like, what do you guys think? And Donnie goes, that name is dog shit. He said, what the fuck? That name dog shit. Like in the meeting, like JP's laughing because he word for word, he said that name's dog shit to all the New York people, all the people who like worked on making a logo, all the people who worked on the team name, like all this shit. Donnie goes, this team name's dog shit. What the fuck is that? And I kind of like Subliners wanted to do something different. Like they wanted to do something different, and they kind of liked the fact that people didn't like it, because in their minds they were like, "That's fine if people don't like it. We want people to, we want their opinions to grow with the org. We want their opinions to change. Like we want to grow Subliners into something cool and better." And to be honest, bro, Subliners is dope as fuck now. I like the name.
It's kind of grown on me.
It grown on me too. NYSL, like NYSL, that's another thing too. They want to relate it to Excelsior with Overwatch, NYXL, NYSL. Like I think they want to push that NYSL, kind of like as the years go on. But I like the Subliners, how it's different. Like I like that they wanted to do something new and do something different. And I like that the logo is, you could see how they incorporate their logo in a lot of the graphics and stuff that they do. I mean, even just like you could do so many things with it. Like look at my transition right now. Look when I switch screens, like the logo, how it just kind of fades out like that. It's really good when it comes to graphic design. So I think the people who designed it actually did a great job. I just think initially when you're told about it, you're like, I don't know. Like, it wasn't what you expected for a New York team, but it ended up being pretty cool in my opinion.
That's why I'm going to kind of reserve judgment on the Demon Cat until like I wait a year.
I mean, bro, I was
after
saying
a year
that.
being in the, if that's the name, like let's see what we think.
You can make a fucking sick logo.
I mean, I was gonna say Demon Cats in a way. Not
it's kind of dope, dude.
It's not like Tony. Shut the fuck up. It's not like it's not like it's a meme. It's not. I don't want to call it a meme, but it's memorable. People are always gonna remember Demon Cats, and it's gonna stick in their heads. You know, like it's kind of funny. Like it's gonna get a lot of clicks, a lot of views. Like I feel like when there's a lot of controversy around a name, that's kind of a good thing. I feel like Demon Cats is something people don't really expect, unless all these rumors that we're seeing is some big old troll. And nobody know, you know, like maybe they just have Demon Cats, like, because they found out because the team that's acquiring the spot or some shit, like, apparently follows a Twitter account that's called Demon Cats or some shit. So, like, I really don't know what the fuck's gonna happen with that.
People also search like the U.S. trademark office. Like, you can search by
you
like
guys are
entity
sick
Yeah, you
fucks,
guys are
dude.
sick fucks.
You
What
guys
the
are some
fuck?
sick
People be
bastards to
digging
find
down
this
the
shit out,
repress.
dude.
See, and then people are like, demonic is better, like just like DC, like Washington demonic. Like I don't know. I don't even. I feel like demonic is just trying too hard to be cool. Like demonic, like I don't know. I feel like I don't really know.
Demon Cats, man. I'm vibing with it.
Bro. Listen, when I first heard it, I said, "What the fuck is that? What the fuck is Demon Cats?" And then like as people kept spamming it in the chat and trolling and shit like that, like it's kind of edgy, bro. It's kind of fire. Like it's not bad. We'll see what happens with the DC
The number of
team.
cat emojis in the CDL scene is going up next year.
Yeah, and Tony seems like he's really enjoying the name. No, don't you, Tony? You love that name. It's a great name, huh, Tony?
I just think it's pretty cool. I'm not sure why you guys are like questioning me, like I know anything or like that I'm involved, but I just think it's a pretty interesting and unique and cool, and I'm sure the logo's gonna be cool, and I'm sure the city's dope, and I'm sure it's just gonna be nice.
And speaking of team names, real quick before we move on to the Reddit questions, Attach was putting it in the chat a little bit. But there were also some other team names that New York was telling us about that were high up on the list that almost got chosen. There was the New York Pizza Rats. Pizza Rats was...
Wait, are you being dead serious?
Dead serious. Pizza Rats was almost our name. New York Pizza Rats. That was going to be our name.
Holy fuck.
Then Dylan put the other one in the chat. Then Neon Kids. New York Neon Kids was another one.
I actually don't mind that one.
I think that's worse than Pizza Rats. I think Neon
you
Kids is worse than Pizza
You're
Rats.
like, Subliners sounds fucking sick,
exactly.
bro.
When we heard all that, we were like, okay, Subliners is lit. Like, we fuck with that. We fuck with that. And then there was one more, Dylan. What was it? There was one more. Oh, Rose Guard. New York Rose Guard was the third one, which actually sounded pretty cool.
The Rose Guard?
The New York Rose Guard. That was the name of it.
I'd have to hear a year of that in the league to give a judgment.
Yeah,
Rose Guard.
Rose Guard was interesting. That was interesting. I didn't mind Rose Guard too much. I felt like that was pretty interesting, but the Subliners thing,
Subliners the best one.
It was cool because it's just a word nobody ever heard of before. People were a lot of people kind of related it to like baseball. People were saying it sounded like a baseball team, but I liked it. I liked the name. I think and then ended up growing on me. The team used to roast me because when we were first told the name, I was like, "Hey, come on, it's not that bad. It's not." The team used to cook me, but I think it ended up growing on everybody for sure. So team names are always interesting when we go into it. It's always fun to see what.
Dude, think about the sponsorship possibility with Demon Cats. I mean, you got Meow Mix, you got Petco.
Dude.
Meow Mix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, there's
bro.
potential there, dude.
Hey, you're not wrong, Tony. You're not wrong. I think Davis was spamming widow kitties in my chat. He was spamming widow kitties before in my fucking chat. So shout out to fucking Davis. How you doing? But that's enough about the team names. I think it's always interesting to see what teams are doing with their branding and with their team names and stuff like that. I'm into like graphic design and shit like that, so it's always cool to see what people are doing with their branding. But let's get into some of these Reddit questions because people came in hot. I posted this yesterday. I posted it right after my top 30 list that everybody was shitting on. So fucking, it got a lot of action. I'm sure people will ask about that as well. But let's just go into the top question. I always ask people to thumbs up the best ones. And this one got 232 upvotes. And the question's for Slasher. It says, name 2 pros you have always wanted to team with, but couldn't/haven't, and why?
Can I answer it for you, and then tell me if I'm wrong?
What?
Tip it easy.
See, I feel like that's the easy answer, so I'm gonna give a different one.
But
You know what I mean?
is that your answer? If you
Yeah,
had to
that's
choose?
probably my answer right
Okay,
now.
I'm just
yeah.
on the same page.
I'm gonna give probably say besides those two, I'll probably say Crim, which is actually really close to happening this offseason, by the way.
You and Crim would be a good duo on a team.
Really
that
close.
team would break
Yeah.
up in 3 days.
No, it wouldn't, bro. No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
That did almost happen.
Okay.
I think me and Crim would actually get along on a team fairly
Oh my
well.
god, you're so wrong.
Real quick, chat, stop spamming demon
right.
pussies. Come
I
on. What are
think
we,
so.
5?
Hey, Crim, and who else?
And then probably Seth, which could have happened at multiple different times as well. It just never ended up coming through. But yeah, those are probably my 2 outside of Simp and Abizi.
Yeah, I think Seth is a good shout for sure. Even Porter's a good shout. Like Crim, Seth. Seth was like one of them for me. I was very close to team with Seth, like really close, and then that ended up taking a different fucking toll. But I like that. Simp and Abizi is too easy of an answer. I think Seth and Crim is a good shout for sure. Let's keep going. What was the vibe like when 100T first acquired Hook, and what happened that caused him to get benched twice in both situations? I don't know if you know much about this, Austin, but if you do,
no, yeah, I don't know. We kind of talked about it earlier. I don't know when he got benched the first time. The second time, obviously, the story's already out there with the COVID test and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. So I don't know what the heck the story is with Hook. Maybe it's just a performance thing. Like maybe they just weren't fucking with him in practice. Like I feel like that's what it mainly was. They were just practicing with him and they weren't getting results in practice, and maybe he wasn't fitting right with the team, and they ended up benching him. I mean, that's.
Well, I mean, honestly, the way they looked their best before they picked him up. Like I said before, right? That was probably the best they looked. Besides, Kenny said they were champs roster. I'm talking about before that, right? They probably thought, you know what? Let's try to return back to that former team where we saw us looking pretty good. And at that point, it's just too late. Like, even though it was the same roster, there's some chemistry that's destroyed there. There's some personality problems, I assume, right? Like, it's very odd to, like, bring in players, like, and just keep swapping rosters. It's very hard to actually build and grow and, like, be consistent.
Yeah.
Let me ask a follow-up question on that. Austin, was there ever a point at the beginning of the season during like the off-season roster mania and then the beginning of the season where you guys ever considered playing with Draza?
I don't remember. There might have been a point, like maybe between him or Don, but I will say my number one pickup going into the year was always John. I wanted to get him on the team as soon as possible because, like I said, I've had a lot of success with him in the past. I know how good he could be. I just knew that it was going to take time to get him back to where he could, like, potentially be. That's why I wanted to pick him up early, and we never ended up doing that for some reason until like a month before champs.
Yeah, John was one of those players who was like kind of a risk, but not really in a way. Like he was hard because he's just been he's a great player, but he hasn't been at the top for so long because he had that year spurt where he just wasn't playing. So there was a lot of noise around John, but it was also very hard for teams to make, the claim to pick him up because of him not playing for a year. People didn't really know what to expect.
I think at the beginning we couldn't because of the stuff that was going on. But I think when we picked up Venom, he actually could. He was playing challengers by then, and we could have got him. That was what I kept saying and kept fighting for.
Yeah. Well, let's go into the next one. Somebody said, "What's your relationship with J-Cap?" How's that kind of holding up? I know Cap was kind of, I don't want to say he was the one making the decisions, but he is the coach, so I think a lot of it does fall on him a little bit. But how are you guys now?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really talked to him much, really, since champs. To be honest, I haven't talked to a lot of them very much. I don't put like a lot of people just put all the blame on Cap. It's obviously not him. He did have a hand in a lot of the stuff that happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm not happy with the way the whole year was handled. So I don't know. I just haven't talked to them much, really.
Yeah, but you're definitely not happy. That's for sure.
I'm not happy with the whole way that year went down. Period.
Bro, it's so tough because, bro, I mean, you and Cap are pretty close, right? Before.
Cap was probably one of my best friends.
Yeah,
for like 5 years.
I would say the similar thing about Marky B. It's like it took me a lot of time before I could look at that guy and not want to fucking slap his hair off his head. Like it just becomes very tough when the friendship and the actual business side start to mix, because then it's just like it's so hard not to take things personal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if anything, the storylines would just make the next season a lot more interesting. There's gonna be a lot of bad blood between a lot of people, and some of the matches are gonna be fucking lit. But the next question: what is Slasher considered to be the ring that got away between IW, World War II, and Black Ops 4 champs?
IW, not even close.
Jesus Christ.
IW.
My bad.
IW, not even close. Listen, I think people. I mean, I'm biased. I'm speaking about myself, obviously, but I think people downplay how fucking good I was at the end of IW, bro. I was so fucking good at that game. I had like a 1.5 in winners finals versus Optic, the top 4 COD players of all time.
Damn, bro, that's crazy.
In the winners finals of champs, and then I played really well in the finals too. We were through winners bracket to the finals and lost. I feel like that one was stolen away from me.
Yeah, IW's gotta hurt. IW, that's gotta hurt. And you guys were feeling yourselves during champs too in IW. Like you guys were starting to pop off. Like it was all clicking. Like when a team just clicks in the middle of an event, and you're like, okay, these guys might actually make the run, because you could just tell they're just. It's like kind of like EG in World War II, where they were just kind of like beating teams, and everybody's like, what the fuck? These guys are about to win this shit, Like they were just catching fire. But let's see what else people have. Dan, thinking about it, Slasher actually had a chance to win 4 rings. He was the favorite or second favorite in all 3 of those. which is crazy,
thanks
bro.
for that, man. Appreciate that.
That's fucking-
Thank you, Strafe. It's good to hear from you, Strafe.
Well,
Jesus.
at least you got one. You know,
Yeah,
at least you
that's
got a
true.
ring.
That's
You know,
not
then
bad.
there's people who don't have a ring, and not just me. I mean, I'm looking at players like Octane, Kenny, Enable, like some players who I think can deserved one, but just never got one. Like it
Yeah,
definitely
I mean,
hurts.
it's hard, bro. You got to win, and you got to win at the right time of the year.
Yeah,
like it's tough.
It's difficult. It's only, I mean, there's only one time. You only have 1 weekend to do it every year, so it's not easy. Definitely not easy. Somebody said, "What are Slash's top 3 favorite CODs?"
Competitive wise, Black Ops 2 I think is a given.
Mm-hmm.
I like Black Ops 3 a lot. And then for the third one,
Say it. I know you want to say it. The most underrated Call of Duty competitive game of all time.
World War 2.
Yep.
It's between World War II, dude. If Ghost had just a little bit better respawn, I'd say that, because the S&D in Ghost is literally
S&D
so
Ghost was
good,
godlike.
bro.
Mhm.
So
But
good.
the Vector was a shotgun across the map as well.
It was. So I'd probably say World War II. Yeah.
I feel like World War II is a good shout. People talk a lot of shit on World War II,
It
man.
just wasn't
Dude,
vibrant,
just-
bro.
yeah,
If the game
yeah.
looked better and people enjoyed pubs more, it'd be so higher rated. The problem was it was pretty boring to watch just because it didn't jump out at you. It was just very dull. And then CTF obviously had its flaws. I mean, I'll argue this to my death. A good CTF is the best game mode to watch in Call of Duty history, but a bad CTF is also the worst. So it's just like there's two extremes on each side.
Mm-hmm. We've had some exciting moments in CTF.
Yeah.
For sure. But I like that top 3. I think it's pretty good. Somebody said, go ahead, man. What's up?
On that question, I know it was kind of in the beta. You could play a little bit in private matches. What do you guys think of Patrol? Do you think there's any upside there? Potential third game mode, even though it's kind of similar
I mean,
to
the spawns were fucking garbage. I mean, when I was, you talking about just playing Patrol in the beta?
On 4v4, like you played it in custom games. If you played in the 12v12, yeah, Tom, the spawns were horrendous. But like in private matches, on the small maps, it actually didn't play too bad.
I mean, what do you guys think, Austin, Tony? Do you guys like it? I think it's a little
like
fugazi.
Patrol?
Like I said earlier,
Yeah.
Dog
have-
shit.
Yeah, I've only touched my controller for an hour, and it was to play TDM on the beta with my team, and I have not played Patrol at all. So
Fuck that. I'm
don't
using
know.
a riot shield in that game mode if that's a game mode.
Yeah, and then the riot
of
shield gets
course.
GA'd. Then the riot shield gets fucking GA'd.
Fine, then I'm using throwing knives.
All right, Tony. Use whatever you want to use, Demon Cats, Tony. And then we go
What
on
the fuck?
to the next one. You and Dashy clashed on
I
LA
was
Optic.
gonna make that joke, Tom, before you did, but I'm glad.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. We were thinking on the same page. Somebody said you and Dashy clashed on LA Optic. What happened, and how do you think the problems you saw will affect the rumored Optic/Envy team?
Loaded question.
I mean, I think this has already been talked about, but early on in the team, obviously we talked about teaming. Brandon agreed with all this, and then when we all signed contracts,
He had doubts.
he all of a sudden changed his mind before he even played the game and wanted to go play for Huntsman.
Mhm.
And I think that just started off on the wrong foot right there.
Yeah.
I honestly, I wish for both of us that he could have just been traded to Huntsman so he could have played and we could have just got Pierce or something. I think it would have worked out better for both of us in the long run. And yeah, I mean, like we've talked, I think me and Ken have both talked about it before. It's just a work ethic thing that I don't really have a problem with Brandon. It was just on the team, the work ethic to me.
Yeah. I definitely think that if a teammate told me he didn't want to play with us right before the season started, I'd lose composure a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, me and you are kind of the same way. Like, bro, if you don't want to play with me, all right, well then I don't want to play with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
go ahead.
That's
go
how
ahead.
I always was.
I
That's
think
how I
to
always was.
Austin's note, Tom, a good analogy for this is, like in European soccer, right? Top players, there's always crazy transfer rumors, even if they're legit or not. I'm sure that the teammates see it, but the way to counter that as a player is put your head down and grind and earn the respect of your teammates. I think to Austin, to your point, even though you start off on the wrong foot, I think not being able to ramp up into something better from there was probably sort of the nail in the coffin, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. Somebody said on a scale of 1 to 10, how idiotic is Zoomaa ranking you 15th and Octane 23rd?
Fucking 10. No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't. I'm not mad about the list.
Let me say
All right, yeah,
something
go
real
ahead.
quick.
Go ahead,
Let
yeah.
me say something real quick. The list was made super fugazi. There wasn't much thought process in the list. A lot of papaya was involved. I made it on stream in less than an hour. I pulled up Ben's list and wrote Ben's list down. So that's why you see similarities between my list and Ben, because it is Ben's list. And then I just started changing. I was moving names around on Ben's list and just moving different people and shit. And we were just talking on stream. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways you can make a top 30 list.
Yeah.
You know, are you looking at how smart a player was, how talented a player was, his accolades, how many rings he has, championships, you know, how impactful they were on the map? Because personally, I think some players are more impactful than other players, you know. So it is really hard to make a top 30 list. I think looking back at it, I'll put you above Selling just because of the longevity of it. You know, like you've been doing it for a while. You have one more tournament win than him. The accolades are pretty similar, but you've been just longevity wise, like you've been doing it. You've been a top player for years, which MC is just kind of new to the scene, you know? So
yeah, the thing I will say, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own top 30 list. I'm not like, those things don't actually get me upset. I will defend myself a little bit though, and the only reason why I feel like I deserve to be closer, I feel like I put myself around the 10 range, something around there. Yeah, like 10, 9, I don't know exactly. I haven't done a list, but I feel like I was like a top 10 player, like minimum, sometimes higher, top 5, top 3 for like 5 or 6 games in a row. And I feel like you can't say that for a lot of people. Whereas like, yeah, some of these people might have more wins because in one year there was more events than other years. Like the game I was best at, there was like the least events probably, Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
And like half the year was chalked to Cronus and all this shit. So like, I don't know. I feel like...
Which is why I hate doing it off accolades. Because even somebody tweeted me and was like, dude, your list is shit. Like, stop making excuses. You can just do it off accolades. And I was like, okay.
Accolades is a terrible way to do it.
I was like, okay, well, speaking of that, somebody did that for us on the ZooMAFia Reddit. Somebody did accolades, and here it is right here. And if you just look at it, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you have people that just have more accolades from back in the day because there were so many tournaments they were playing. And you just have talented people that are just too low, I think. That should just be a lot higher. So
yeah, so that's why I still put myself above like Cell or like someone like that, because like he's been at the top for 2 years, whereas like I feel like I did it for longer. Like yeah, he'll probably end up passing me if he on the trajectory is right now. But going off right now, I think like I would be above, just because I think that ranking a player on how good they were throughout eras, like I was good top 10 probably minimum to top 5 in like World War II and other games. And the games were changing every year. Like I played Jetpacks games, I played a Boots game, I played a 5v5 with Specialists. Like
the longevity.
I was still a top 10 every year.
Right. I think people definitely hated my list because I didn't have Big Timer on it. And listen, maybe it's just me being ignorant because I've never seen Big Timer play, or just, you know, I've never watched him play. I never played with him. He wasn't really in my era. All I know is that he won 9 championships, and I know most of those were in MW3, and I just fucking hate MW3. And I guess that's why my list ended up being. It is a great game, but I didn't like.
Tom,
I don't.
You know what the hard thing was when I was doing the exercise is like you look at the list of 30, and there are a lot of people on that list that were top 5 players for at least 1 or 2 years, which makes this back to the how do you compare errors and this all that. It's the entire mess of this thing.
So what I will say too is I think top 30 lists shouldn't be done. I think you should stop at like 15.
I agree.
Yeah.
Once you get past that, maybe 20 max, but once you get past that, bro, it's like.
It's too hard. It's too close.
I don't know.
Our game is so unique too. I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
No, you're good. I was just saying, like, stop it at 15 or 20, bro. Like, then it gets too hard, and like, because then I think if you do top 15, maybe Big T doesn't make it in there because again, like, yeah, like the longevity aspect. Like, yeah, he was at the top of the game, but again, I didn't play against him really either. I played against him at his last event actually. I beat him, I think, in his last competitive match. No bullshit, but
chalk the top untrue. I knocked him out of Call of Duty Ghosts. His last ever match against Methods when Optic fell.
No, that was
to
me.
FaZe at Ghost. What?
Who knocked him out? Was it you, Austin?
It was me, Miyagi, Dylan, and
yeah,
Strike.
it was. Yeah, it was.
Wait,
it was Austin.
Yeah.
Zinni, I remember that.
Oh, we knocked him to losers. Okay.
That was Philly, right?
Sorry.
That was UMG Philly, right?
I
remember.
Dylan, like,
I was gonna say. I remember you and Attach just yelling at him at the top of your lungs. I remember a clip, and that's when Scump and Nate Shot started fighting, and then that's when
I think that's when Seth left for a second.
Yeah, he left. You can see Scump and Nate. Yeah, it was after that. You could see Scump and Nate at UMG Philly arguing with each other. Yeah, they were arguing with each other, and then Scump went to Envy for 10 days or whatever it was, and then ended up going back.
That was my claim to fame right there. That's when I was.
Crim6 has never been the best player in a game.
That's cap.
See,
that's cap.
I can't read that. I can't read that.
And
and Black Ops 2 for a bit.
TJ said we were to do at Philly. Facts, TJ. Facts, bro. Good times, man. Sleeping in TJ's basement
can we
on his
chalk
floor.
the top 30 list, please? Like, just actually chalk them. We are the only esport, right, that changes game to game per year. It's so you can't do it. It's literally not possible.
It is kind of fun though, because
it's not like
it's fun. It gets the community going. It's fun to talk.
Going, man.
I mean, I was getting cooked, like absolutely cooked when my list came out, and it wasn't even like a well thought out list. It was just me papaying it out on stream, trolling with the chat, making a list. And people were just kind of flipping out about it. But even just making it, I was like, it's impossible, bro. It's so hard to do. Because what are you counting? How do you rank eras?
Yeah.
Are you ranking players off their impact, their smarts, their talents, their accolades? Like, there's so many different ways to do it. But enough with the list talk. Let's keep it going.
One more thing on the list thought. I have a question for Zinni. Looney put in the chat, Zin just mad he hasn't made one. Thoughts on that comment?
No, I mean... It's very. I mean,
don't get it twisted.
I don't see many names that are that I can be like, oh, I deserve to be there. I mean, I'm a pretty fucking self-aware guy. I'm not upset.
I mean, don't get it twisted. When Nameless put me in number 30, I was pissed. I said, what the fuck? I said 30. I was looking at all the people above me, people that in terms of talent better, accolades better, fucking MVPs more, like everything. I was just better. I was like, what the fuck? I said, fuck you, Nameless, motherfucker. Question for Slasher. What team would LAT have went into Cold War with if 100T and Nade managed to get into the CDL right after Champs versus the end of Rostermania? So...
They're saying not you didn't have that lag time where you weren't sure.
Yeah, I think it would have probably been either Priesta or Pharaoh. My guess.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Pharaoh.
We were looking at. I think those were our top two. I want to say.
Speaking of Pharaoh, you saw what kind of impact he had in Florida.
He would have been so good at Cold War.
Because Florida was nowhere near the same team. Nowhere near.
Yeah.
I mean, Pharaoh, like F3 had such an impact on that team. Like he really did. You really got to see how good he was when you saw Florida's struggles. Because if you put F3 back on that Florida Mutineers roster or all of Cold War, I think that team just looks way different. I think that team is just so much better. So RIP F3, man. We miss you, kid. We love you. But that's interesting. Priest is a good shout because I think Priest is a fucking animal. Question for Slasher. In Black Ops 4, how close were you to dropping another team member instead of F3? Black Ops 4.
So me personally, I was never close. The rest of the team was pretty close to dropping Ken. I had to pull some absolute finesse actually. I don't know if a lot of people know. Wow. I don't think I've ever told this.
Wow.
Yeah, I finessed
because of the SOG. The SOG was destroying sub players.
So
double shooter.
It was the SOG and it was the grapple. Ken could not. I mean, the grapple was a specific bro. It was hard to run the grapple. I'll tip grapple players.
Ken's not a grapple. I mean, Ken can use it like for flashy plays, but he's not shot seeing it in situations.
He's not like Preston, where like the impact was meaningful.
Like the game changes every year, but like some concepts just apply throughout. You know what I mean? But like grapple was the one thing where it actually was like completely fucking different in my opinion. Like you were legit flying around on a boots game. And so the whole team wanted to drop Ken. Management, I think all the players did want to drop Ken as well because he was just statistically shitting the sheets. And,
Jesus Christ!
I mean, that's just what it was.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, bro, statistically, every sub player was struggling in the beginning of Black Ops 4.
And then, obviously, me and Ken butted heads a lot too. At the beginning of the game, we would argue a lot. And I remember it was one of the events or qualifier or something. I roomed with Sam, and I remember I went back to the room and I was like, yo, like, what do you think we should do? Because we're kind of shit right now. And we talked about it, and then I basically explained to him why we should keep Ken. Got him on my side, and then now we basically went from there. And then just I talked to Eric a lot. I was like, listen, bro, I know stats, all this, it doesn't make sense. But I was like, me, Sam, and Jay on the same team. Like, Jay will be nasty somewhere else, but I was like, us three on the same team is not going to work. I was like, I'm going to switch and run a Maddox. I'll figure it out. Sam's going to run an ICR. We're going to put Ken on the Maddox too. And I was like, this is what's going to work. And went from there and made the change, and obviously it ended up panning out, thankfully, because if we dropped Ken and picked up Preston, we still might have been better, but...
I like the fact that Kenny moved to a Maddox. I do. Because it just fit his playstyle. I understand he was a sub player, superstar sub player. It was the same argument I had in the beginning of Black Ops 4. I was begging my team to run a Maddox. I really wanted to run it just because it was something I can ego chow with. I could chow people from any range. It's basically a do-it-all. And you could just do whatever. You could just focus on getting kills and doing what you do best. And that's the type of player Kenny is. He's a slayer. You know, he's just going to go out there and get kills.
To answer the question, I personally was never close. I saw the vision right away. Rest in pease, F3. The kid's a beast, but I just knew me, him, and Sam couldn't all be on the same team together.
Yeah, it's just too many.
I think on that note too, like ultimately the version of the team where you guys had your most success, like you had Preston and Ian on as being sort of those setup players. So you and Kenny and Sam could do a really good job of holding power positions, and you guys like got absolutely disgusting at respawn. Your ability to just like overwhelm people with map control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They changed the game.
Yeah.
And bro, Black Ops 4 was like one of those games where it was just so unlike every other COD. Just like with all the different specialists, the grapple, the stim shot, the 5v5.
You were really flexible too, because like I would be able to pull out an ICR, whereas like other teams would not be able to do that. Like I know Optic struggled with that a lot. Some other teams, and even Ken sometimes, like we'd be rocking 3 ICRs sometimes on like controls and stuff. And that thing was a menace with FMJ, like wall banging and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then obviously we had Preston, like he's a player who can run the grapple, where we didn't have that before, and that just helped us tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
That game is the most overrated COD of all time.
I agree. I always say this. I always say Black Ops 4 is so overrated. I understand it was fun to watch. The colors are vibrant. It's nice. The competition was good. The tournaments were good. I understand it. Just as a player, I fucking hated it. Like, I just didn't like it. It was just so different than anything I've ever played before.
I thought it was fun, actually. Like,
I
had a lot of fun playing it, yep.
But I did not like Search.
Do you think
Search was terrible?
Bro,
Search
the
was
sniping
so
in Search
bad.
was so busted.
It was horrible.
Snipers would jump out for free with a one-shot gun, take a shot, go back to cover stim shot, and do it over and over again. And I had an ICR across the map. I had no chance.
It was even like part of S&D for me, at least, like in all the other CODs, is when you tag a player and you get him weak, you can back him off. You know, like you tag him up, you back him off.
Then that's when the mind game, is he pushing me?
Yeah,
oh my God,
right. You play mind games where that was eliminated. That was eliminated in Black Ops 4.
Yeah.
Whenever you tag somebody up, it didn't matter. It's like, okay, well, he's still full. He's still full health. He's always full health. It doesn't matter. You can get all the information in the world.
I always said tagging a person first was actually the disadvantage.
Yeah, because now they have all the information.
Well, that and like my biggest example is just frequency, right? When you're on the catwalk and he's shouldering you close, you tag him, you go to sprint towards him, and then he just stims and slide cancels the corner, and you're dead, and you're like, all right, sick.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say. I think the respawn game was pretty. I think Control was actually miles better than Cold War Control. Like not even close. I think Control was lit in that game, but I just think S&D was so whack.
Yeah, I agree. It was a fun game to watch, though, for sure. It had some good moments, as well as every other COD. There's a lot of arguments you can make about certain CODs with the way certain things are played. But I definitely think Black Ops 4 is overrated, in my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree, but, you know, what are you going to do? Somebody said, what was the next one? For Slasher, what game did you feel like you were most unguardable in? Not your favorite game to play, but your best game. I think Black Ops 3, personally, but what do you think?
It's either probably that one or World War II. I think I'd say for the entirety of a game. And then, I don't know, like I said, at the end of IW, I think I was unreal. But it's definitely one of those moments for me. Probably Black Ops 3, though, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Black Ops 3 is like the definite answer, but you were also a top player. You're a top player in every game, but in terms of like
was guardable for 7 months in Black Ops 3.
Well, yeah, when we had Patent T, correct. But that was like one event, or 2 events, because there was only like 4 the entire year.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true. There wasn't many events that year. That is true. For Slasher, I remember in MW seeing a rumor that OGLA was trying to get gunless mid-season. Is that true? If it is, why did it not go through? Also, you're the fucking GOAT.
Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier when Dashy changed his mind. He didn't want to play with us. I wanted to get Pierce right away. That was even early season. Yeah. And then when we started playing a little bit, obviously I thought the work ethic of the team was not there. Just weren't performing. There was just a lot of problems, to be honest, just right from the get-go. Wanted to make a change. Pierce was on the table, but we thought doing a trade was too hard. I think we tried, but Huntsman didn't want Dashy anymore or something because they were actually good. I forget exactly what happened, but we looked at getting Mac and Farrell, and god damn it, I can't believe that didn't go through because we could have got them for the fucking men, but we couldn't make any moves.
Mac and Farrell would have been
before you guys picked up Mac, I remember.
Oh my god!
Scrims where I think Pac was watching Mac, and he's like, "Yeah, this kid's actually good." Because I knew Jay was good, and Jay was vouching for Mac. He's like, "Bro, we could."
Yeah, Jay and Mac liked each other.
Yeah,
You're
and
saying you couldn't make a move because of salary cap considerations, correct?
I don't know, org stuff,
Right.
money. So I don't know exactly what it is. I tried to make it happen and it didn't happen. It would have been Mac and Farrell for I think Dashy and Cap at the time.
Yeah. Those are the two
That'd been a
players
sick team.
with New York. Those are the two guys we were looking at, Mac and Farrell.
Yeah.
Actually, no, not even Mac. I was the only one who liked Mac. Nobody even knew who Mac was. That was the problem. Like, nobody on the team knew. New York subliners didn't know anything about Mac. That was kind of
Yeah,
just...
I only knew about Mac
Even
because
then.
of Jay, to be honest.
Mm-mm.
I had a pretty good relationship with Jay, actually, even though after all the Black Ops 4 stuff went down, he came to me pretty frequently for advice and stuff like that, and we just talk and bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was talking about trying to pick him up again, and he was like, bro, this Mac kid, like, I want to bring him with me, like, he's good, trust. And I was like, no, okay, I kind of trust you, but like, then we scrimmed him and Pack like watched his POV and we watched it together and stuff, and I was like, okay, this kid probably is pretty good.
Yeah. Nah, he was an animal. He just caught my eye. I mean, just what he used to stream a little bit. I used to tune into his streams. I was very quiet about it because I didn't want anybody to grab him, so I was just super quiet, like kind of eyeing him and scouting him out. And then once I would just pay attention to what he would do on the map, and Mac was just fucking insane. He was just one of those players you just need to watch play, and the eye test would just do the trick, you know. So Mac was a good player. Same with Jay.
We gotta tip Vinny too. Vinny was also very high on Mac.
He was high on Standy. Kinda. Vinny was a whole Standy stan.
Well, I know he's a Standy stan, but he was high on Mac too.
Yeah, he was. Vinny liked Mac.
Yeah.
He liked Standy. I mean, because Vinny just pays attention to challengers a lot. Like, I legit hit up my cousin all the time. Like, yo, who's good in challengers right now? Like, who's like the guy? Because he just knows. He's friends with all those guys, so he knows who's frying. And shout out to Vinny, man. He's trying to get fucking scouts in the franchise league. He wants teams to start hiring scouts. So,
well, listen, CDL teams, you know, if events come back and there's Challenger lands or even if there's online stuff, hire Vin, man. This guy knows what he's talking about.
He does know. Listen, man, the reason why he knows a lot is because it's just in the family, man. I played professionally for... No, I'm just saying I played professionally for almost a decade. So who do you think Vinny was watching? He was watching me.
Oh, you're being serious.
I'm being dead serious.
It's in the family.
Well, I mean, that was a little bit of a troll, but I'm saying when I was playing, like, Vinny was really into it. Like, he paid attention. Like, he wasn't dumb. He understood it. We talked COD a lot. We used to talk a lot about how the game was played, how to properly play COD, and this and that. Like, he was so into it. Like, he's a smart kid. Like, he definitely knows a little bit about COD just because he's been around it with me. I mean, at family parties, that's all we talked about is fucking COD. Somebody said for Slasher, what was the main reason for LAT inconsistencies in Cold War? And then said for Slasher and Zoomaa, why not stream scrims to help build your brand? Every player and coach has the ability to screen record VOD and matches are broadcasted, so stealing VODs can't be a reason. Austin, I'll let you answer the first one, then I'll comment on the second one.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of talked about the first one a little bit throughout the show. Obviously, I could have been way better towards the beginning. I think 10 roster changes doesn't help out either. That is a terrible way to have success in any Call of Duty game. You're never going to win. You're going to be pretty inconsistent. And just the overall work ethic of the team was pretty poor, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I think the overall, like, streaming scrims debate, like, I personally think people just act differently on stream. Like, when there's eyes on you and stuff, I just feel like you don't get the best practice. Like, I remember Optic was streaming scrims, and, like, Troy is saying something, and everybody's muting out while Troy's talking, like, talking to their chat, you know?
That's not ideal.
And it's just like, I mean, Troy's just talking to brick walls at this point, because everybody's just so interactive with their stream. I just feel like streaming is just, like, a whole nother job within itself. So streaming scrims just doesn't allow you to focus on the job at hand.
I think there are.
That's what you shouldn't be doing. If you are streaming scrims, I'm cutting you off for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you are streaming scrims, you shouldn't be talking in your chat when you're trying to go over shit. That's unacceptable. If you're streaming scrims, like, I don't know. There's two different sides of the argument. Like, I truly don't know. First, Ben, go ahead, and then I'll give you sort of like.
But then everybody is sitting in, like, listening to what you guys are strategizing. It's hard to strategize and keep things under wraps when you're streaming.
I think that's the biggest.
I think there's
Go ahead,
certain
man, my
time
bad.
periods.
So here's my thoughts on it. Is like it seems like talking to teams now. They're sort of like when you get towards the middle of the season, there's like 2 buckets of scrims, right? There are teams you know you're gonna play, and like you should beat those teams pretty handily on most of the maps. So it's more about getting reps. And there are teams where you need to focus a lot on like specific things you're doing situationally. And like for that second bucket, I think when you're streaming scrims, it's hard to have frank conversations on what goes wrong in the situation.
People, because Reddit goes nuts. It's good and bad though, because like it gets people talking, but it's also like unnecessary drama. It's like, let's say my teammate is underperforming and he goes to watch my rebroadcast or something, and he's seeing the chat shit on him. Like, who wants to see that, right? There's definitely like a confidence hit. Reddit and people take scrims very seriously and think that a team losing map count is the end all be all, which isn't true. And then to the point where someone said you can record VODs and stealing whatever, like watching VODs can't be a reason. You're downplaying how much communication matters, right? It's one thing to watch a team do something. It's another thing to hear why they're doing it and like what's causing them to do
thing.
that.
Yeah, like every little
the
tiny
big thing too is I think you guys hit it is like people are not themselves when the stream is on a lot.
Yeah.
Especially in practice, they don't speak their mind. I think that's one of the big things. A lot of the community had a lot of insight into my teams early because the streams were still being scrimmed or scrims were still being streamed. I don't know how I messed that up, but and I would act the same. Like if someone messed up, like I was on you. Like and people would clip these things and obviously
make you
run
seem
with
like
it.
a bad guy too.
Yeah,
And they make you seem like a bad
the whole
person.
narrative has just gotten out of control at this point. But a lot of the other people would not speak their mind, would never be the bad guy because it's a stream live. You know what I mean? People
streaming scrims just causes problems. That's all it does.
and it's like the most important thing of the scrim is the communication in between maps. When we're talking strategy, it's not the actual map, what the kills going down, stuff like that. It's how do we approach this hill? Like I don't want my enemy team or anyone to hear my plan for how we're gonna approach this hill and me talk about it because they might see what we do, but they might not understand it. As soon as they understand why we're doing what we're doing, they're gonna be able to implement it and do it just as good.
Yeah, I think early on it's okay to stream them. Like when the game first drops and people are having fun, they're learning the game, they're learning the spawns, like shit like that. Like Optic was doing it very early on, and then they ended up stopping. But I think there's definitely a time period where streams are fine. But eventually, man, when tournaments are hitting the fan and you're playing for a lot of money, especially midway through, like nobody's gonna scrim their practices or stream it. Nobody's gonna do that. No,
I mean, my only counter to that is to go back to Austin said. It's like even when you're streaming scrims early in the game, like you're gonna have bad maps, but like they'll come out here and like start like be that fake personality and not be focusing on getting your team better first. And that's where people get in a lot of trouble. Perception that shouldn't be out there, get out there, and people just can't like get better as a team because people can't be themselves.
Yeah, let's start going through some more of these questions. I really don't want to talk about this fucking top 30 list anymore. I'm fucking over it, bro. I'm so over it. Like, who gives a fuck?
I put Austin like 11th on the list behind Cap.
No, you put
Sal. I put him 15th.
Didn't you have
No,
Sal?
I put MC.
Nah, he had MC above like other people were talking about.
Above Teeb, that was the big thing that
we've already talked about it. I've already kind of explained.
Yeah, we talked about the list. I don't even want to talk about that shit. This is directed to Slasher. What was your favorite tournament besides Black Ops 3? Also, what was your favorite assault rifle in history, in COD history?
Favorite AR is probably iteration of the M8, Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 3.
Love that.
And then favorite tournament might be AW Columbus.
Why?
That was my first win.
The first win always hits good.
Yeah, that was my first win. That was the first time I ever had anybody in the crowd ever cheering for me because I was actually on phase. I was kind of known, even though I wasn't really known at the time.
Sheen was cheering for you, bro. Sheen
and Sender were going crazy in the crowd. But also, I remember there was a moment we were playing against Optic and we came from losers and Pat cut his hand, didn't sleep. Like it was just a crazy, wild event.
Yeah, I remember that.
He carried you to your first trip,
bro. Incorrect, but moving on. There was a moment, I think it was after the first best of 5. Like we just fried Optic. Like I was on top of the world. I was like, dude, I'm the fucking best player to ever play now. Like in my head, like I was thinking crazy shit. I remember walking backstage and Adam Apicel was like, "Bro, this is crazy. We're hitting like I don't remember the exact number, but it was like the stream has like 250K or something like that." And in my head, I was like, "Bro, there's 250,000 people watching me do this right now." I was like, oh, dude, it was just a wild moment for me. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, holy shit.
I mean, bro, COD was popping in AW. Popping. Yeah. That's why I like AW.
It was just so
Optic
lit. Finals. Like, I mean, you know how those are.
Yeah.
FaZe versus Optic, beginning of the game. So
that was the first event for Optic Dynasty.
Yeah, it was. That was a crazy fucking event. Somebody said for Slasher, could you develop a robot to rival Doug in COD? If not, how long until a human catches up to him, if at all?
Dude, I could not make a robot to have the level of passion that guy has. There's no possible way. Doug is a motivational guy, bro. I gotta tip it. Doug is part of the reason why I started working out as much as I do, to be honest. I worked out with Doug one time too after I got started. And that guy's just a fucking beast, man. I have nothing but respect for that guy.
I mean, bro, Doug. Oh, he wanted to come on today. I told him I had reached out. I told him to come join up, but I just want people to join up. Like Dan, how you just like in the chat, like
he's got the info.
Yeah, he's got. That's what I'm saying. He can always hop in. But Doug tweeted me and he was like, "My bad, Austin. Sorry to cut you off." But he tweeted me and was saying some crazy shit. Oh, right here. He said, "Hey, bro, saw I wasn't on your top 30 list of all-time COD players. I'll make it on that list one day, brother." I said, "Let's go." Like bro, it's pretty inspiring, bro. He doesn't give up.
Yeah. Bro, and he gets a lot of shit too, man. Like,
he does.
You gotta respect the positivity and the work ethic that he has. Like, he's really built something for himself. Like, he's still going hard in COD, trying to make that happen, even though everyone kind of like shits on him a little bit.
Everybody memes him.
Yeah, like, dude, take a note from Doug, bro. Have a little bit of his work ethic, and you're gonna go somewhere.
Yeah, sometimes I feel bad for him with all the fucking hate that he gets, because I just feel like sometimes it's just a little too much.
Dude, he's the nicest guy ever, by the way.
I just feel like people just like at this point, it's like, bro, give it up. Like the fuck you Doug's under his video, like under his tweets. People,
I think that's great.
Bro, people, I don't. When Doug was tweeting about like losing his pet, and people are just spamming "fuck you, Doug."
Okay, so that's unacceptable.
That's what I'm saying. They overdo it. They just overdo it. It's like, dude, eventually, like, you guys need to stop. Like, just stop being fucking weirdos. Like, people have like, feelings. Like, not to sound soft, but it's true. You don't need to be a fucking asshole. It just doesn't make any sense with some of the ways people treat Doug, and there's just
a time and place for it.
Yeah, and they're just so invested in his relationships and personal life. And granted, he is in front of the camera a lot. Everything's put out there, and that's kind of like the negatives of being like in the scene is like your life is just kind of put out there. But like, I just feel like people need to give it a rest sometimes and just fucking let the guy rock. But let's go on to the next one. Ben, you wanted to ask a question? Go ahead.
Yes, we have Dan here now, so I think this is kind of an appropriate question to ask. We didn't really talk about it during the news portion of the show, but I don't know if you guys saw, but Aqua announced his retirement. I think in honor of his retirement, want everybody to tell their favorite Aqua story if you've got one.
I like that.
I'll go last.
I mean, I don't have any Aqua stories. I didn't team with him.
I mean, yeah, me and Aqua have smoked weed in the garages a lot together. It was a lot of. We had a lot of
fun.
Good, yeah, I mean, we've had some good post-match smoke sessions. I mean, just a good dude. I mean, I never played with him personally, and I'm obviously trolling. But I mean, he's just he's always a good conversation. Always super nice. Really underrated player. I mean, there were times where he was like a top player in the game. Yeah. So it's just sad to see so many people that we like grew up with walk away. Like it's just super, bro. Like I'm actually getting sad seeing people walk away one by one because it's like, it truly is our childhood that's like kind of walking away in a sense, where it's like people that we grew up with from when we were in local lands and like convention centers now like taking the next step. And I think he'll do. I mean, he's an insane talent. He's gonna do well. But it's just sad to see like so many staples just start walking away. And I think what I hate the most about it is how normal it is so shortly after, right? Like I think of people like Spacely, and it's like when they walk away, people talk about it for 1 or 2 days, and then it's just like everything's normal. Like I always think about that. I'm not sure if you guys get where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's just
I do.
weird.
People forget. They don't care.
Yeah,
life goes on, bro.
Yeah, it's weird how it just like it happens and it's over,
life.
and it's like that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The big thing I remember from Yuli is just like AW Black Ops 3 time period. Obviously, when he was coming up, AW that team did really good. But I think at Black Ops 3, he was absolutely disgusting. He was like dragging that team at times.
Yuli
like,
was the
top 3.
OG Creddy. He was the OG Creddy. He used to play mad Creddy spots and just do a lot of weird shit. Like he was just annoying to play against. Like that's just how he was.
Dude, he would drop numbers though, like legit, like, and nobody would talk about him. Like he was a top AR for sure. In
Why
Black Ops
is
3.
that? Why is it that some people that are really talented don't get eyes or attention or aren't like Aqua's one of those players that he was always good. But
I think Jetpack era, you can argue he was a top like 3-4 AR, like the whole Jetpack era.
Yeah, he was good as fuck.
Even IW on our Rise team, he was absolutely disgusting, and we just held him back.
And now he's taking a step back, and it makes you think that like one, with more teams, he would definitely be on a team, and two, even with like some of the ARs you're seeing, like Yui's a good player. It's weird to see him not get a spot. Yeah. And even for him now, he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna stream. Like I'm just gonna stream some Warzone and just see how it goes. Like bro, it's a scary sight when you take a step back. You never know what you're gonna do. I mean, for me, bro, when my hand started fucking up again and I took a step back, obviously things have changed a little bit for me now, but I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like I had no idea. Sure. So it's nerve-wracking. It's not easy to see. But Dan, you have any memories?
I mean, I have a lot. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he's my longest teammate. I teamed with him for the most events. Obviously, IW Vegas was big, winning that first tournament for that trio. I just think like in his career was just his come up was just crazy. I think aside from Austin, I think you guys did it in Ghost, obviously when you guys played second. But how fast they got stupid good at AW was actually impressive because they weren't a team for Columbus, right? That TR team, and then they just become a team. I think they did their thing at regionals, right? I think they upset. Was it you guys? Oh no, you were on
I don't
Envy.
know.
I think they upset.
They might have beat us, to be honest. I can't remember.
They upset a team, and then people were just like, it's regionals, new team, whatever, blah blah blah, right? And then they just came out of champs and just had one of the best tournaments. They just like still did their thing, obviously pushed it out to the limits. And then his later year was like I ended up teaming with him on Envy for like the remainder of the year, and then Black Ops 3, like kind of like we just pointed out, he was top 3 AR the whole year. They just nonstop place. I think like top 3, second, and I said my one of my favorite wins to this day, and I have a canvas of it, is just IW Vegas, just winning with him. I consider my brother for sure.
Yeah.
I
know you guys are close.
Yeah, obviously just knowing this come up. I mean, he mentioned that on the Twit longer, the reason he started competing again, because he competed in MW3. He was on TKO.
Yeah.
With like Fizz and that whole S&D thing. That's where like obviously the credit of him comes from. And then he quit for like kind of like Zin, just wanted to enjoy high school and shit like that. And then got into a car accident. I think he was like 50K in debt with like hospital bills.
That's crazy.
AW comes around and he gets second.
Isn't that crazy too? Like, bro, a lot of the fans never understand that like pro players have a personal life.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like everybody has their own problems going on in their life, and it has like deals through their own struggles, and sometimes people just like forget about that. They're just they just don't. They don't even talk about it. They never talk about it. And granted, maybe they just don't know about it. But I mean, sometimes I feel like people don't know everybody's story. And of course, it's always good to have people come on now and have have the show and have a platform to come on and talk a little bit about it, just so people can kind of just let people know what's going on. But I definitely think that's something to just think about. Think about that shit.
That is very typical, by the way. Back against the wall, down 50 grand, play second at champs and make 50 grand.
It was a lot. I know it was a lot. I just know. I mean, what, you win 50K at second, obviously. Pre-tax, but
he probably paid it all off with it.
It was just like literally just back against the wall. And I mean, again, it's something he put in his foot longer. He had shit internet. Everyone knew it. He literally had 0.1 classic DSL internet, and he made it happen.
Yeah.
That's why when I think it was Don or someone, when people were complaining about internet and why they don't make it. I think it was in this game in Cold War. Someone was like, yeah, he made that play because he has internet. It's like, bro, people just make it happen out of nothing. And I think that's kind of
admiring.
That's like Yuli's career for me. Yeah. He just made it happen out of nothing.
I mean, shout out to Yuli, man. I'm wishing him the best of luck, moving forward in anything he does. I hope he continues to find success.
He's disgusting.
If he plays Warzone,
he's gonna be a top player.
Yeah. He was like really good at H1 and all like every VR he's played.
Yeah. No, it just fits his play style. Like he'll
make it happen.
He's gonna be fucking disgusting, especially with the new Warzone dropping and shit. It's going to be really exciting to see some of these guys come into the Warzone scene and see what they can do. And also, that's something I've thought about with the show too, is getting involved with Warzone, start getting some Warzone guys on. I know Warzone's been talked about going competitive and stuff. I love watching competitive Warzone. So that's something going into next season, like season 2, we're going to be doing some Warzone stuff as well. Obviously, the main focus will still be the COD League, but I know a lot of people don't like Warzone. I personally think that competitive Warzone, like seeing the best of the best players battle and in a BR, is super entertaining, me personally.
I think it depends. If it's like, are they just gonna go do the usual like kill races, or
kill races are not competitive?
Kill races aren't competitive, but they're not better competitive.
Customs
are dope.
Yeah, customs are
Customs are the worst.
Yeah, because we've seen people starting to people are still trying to figure out kind of what the rule set is, right? So you got the World Series of Warzone rules. It's a couple of mini Royale tournaments lately, and those have been okay. I think they've been a little bit slow. But love to see some Iron Trials custom games. Maybe that might be the game mode that sticks. But I think we're heading towards like the end of this year with the new map coming out.
Let me just say, listen, a lot of people in the chat, you guys are morons, bro. A lot of people in the chat, you guys, bro, why does it hurt to do more content? It's not gonna nothing is gonna change with the show in the CDL. Why does it hurt on days where there is no CDL to talk Warzone, to put out more content, to do more shows, to do more stuff? Why is that a bad thing? Not like, bro, I understand Warzone is ass. If you play it just normally, like with a pub, like when me, Zinni, and Scump are playing it, and it's just boring because we're just pub stomping Warzone, it just gets repetitive. But when you see the best players in the world in customs get thrown onto a map, I think it's entertaining as fuck. Me personally. But everybody's saying L zone and shit like that. Like, bro, get a fucking grip, bro. It's not gonna change anything. People are like, somebody goes, stick to the CDL. Yeah. I'm not changing the fucking CDL. Somebody goes, you're killing the CDL. Why would you change? I'm not changing.
Listen,
we're doing it. We're doing
Tom,
everything.
you're forgetting one quote. You can just say, it's his fucking show, morons.
Listen,
I mean, listen.
Did people just come from like Pine Park opening weekend meet and greets and just come in here off the Papania? Like,
you guys off the shit. It's a good plug right there. It's a good plug. Yeah. But listen, I want to end on these last couple questions. We'll start with this one for Austin. Then this is a question we all can answer to end the show. But for Slasher, who is your gaming idol? And then if you and Iggs managed to get along in Black Ops 3 and he was still on the team, how do you think that season would have turned out compared to what actually happened? I mean, Black Ops 3 ended up turning out very good for you. So, I mean, you know.
I don't think it could have turned out much better if we kept Pat on the team. Like, I don't know if we would have won champs. I mean, maybe we would have done good. I don't really know. And then gaming, I don't really know if I had one, dude. I didn't really know about a lot of the gaming scene, even when I was playing like online tournaments and stuff. I didn't really know much. The first kind of streams I'd watch, I think, were maybe like Fizzerp. I want to say, watching like S&D stuff, and like MW3. Other than that, I kind of fell into this. I didn't like have someone to like look up to and be like, oh, I want to be like him. I just kind of found out this was a thing and knew I was good. So I was like, let me see what happens.
What just to kind of spin that question a little bit, maybe to get an answer. Would you consider like your godfather?
I think the guy who put me on the most probably and helped me was probably Pluto. I think he was a big reason why I ended up on that FaZe team.
Legend.
Yeah, Pluto, bro. Pluto, bro, that's right. You did. Pluto probably is your godfather, huh?
Yeah, he probably is.
Yeah,
bro.
I think he is.
Pluto's a legend.
Yeah, he's a legend,
baby. That guy's fucking hilarious.
And he's another one too. Like Pluto, like good player, good guy. And he was funny, like personable.
Dude,
like he was. I used to watch his streams in Black Ops 1, like a lot. I used to watch him play a lot in Black Ops 1, and he was just fucking comedy. Shout out to Pluto, man. Not sure what where his head's at now or what he's doing now, but there's just so many legends in the scene, like so many really good COD players that have really good personalities that just aren't here anymore. You know, they're not really doing much around COD. It just makes you wonder how things could have changed back in the day. You know, it's all timing. I feel like gaming was all timing. But I don't know. Shout out to Pluto. I think he's definitely your godfather now that I think about it. That's crazy.
I think he is.
And then we'll end on this question, man. What will determine whether or not the next CDL season is a success? So what do you guys view as a successful season? Is it the viewers? Is it the good tournaments? Like, I think it's everything. I think it's the content that's put out. I think it's having tournaments that are good. Like, I don't like it when there's just one team that dominates. I think having like a lot of competition, a lot of close tournaments are good. I think the viewership is like the main thing. But what do you guys think?
Here's my POV on it. Sorry if you guys don't mind me going first.
You're good.
Like all the things we talked about in the other conversation that we had the last show, Tom, like we're talking about content, talking about like engagement from teams. The big thing I'm looking for this year, especially if events come back in full swing, is I really want to see the fans come out and support every team. You know, not just have the Optic fans out there and they dip, especially if those two fan bases combined and it's even more of a split. Like I want to see some of these lesser teams start to develop more support, and I'm looking to see some of these teams engage in local areas now that COVID hopefully is starting to get better. We start seeing some really good community support from people that aren't traditional Call of Duty fans or traditional fans of this esport.
I'm always curious as to why, like, not everybody, but like a lot of Optic fans do like Optic's not playing and like the arena like looks a little empty. I'm always curious as to why. It's like you paid for the ticket. Like I understand Optic's your main team, but like, bro, you're missing out on some crazy moments if you leave that arena. Like I guess I just never really understood why you would.
There's a lot of different reasons in, like, you know, we'll talk about old CWL events. Like, those were long days, right? If Optic played, you know, maybe Optic was one of the first couple of open bracket day 2 matches. You know, obviously people may want to go and do stuff in the afternoon and come back for winners round 1. Just some of that. You know, people going out and checking out what's going on in the actual open bracket itself. There's other stuff going on, stuff getting sold. And look, like some of these events are in cool places, so people want to go outside, hang out. So, but like I would like to see. I mean, there's more to it than that, but
it's clear as day, homie. Optics off the stage, and everyone's off the stage. Not that they want to go hang out. They're just there for a reason, which I don't blame them. But it's like Zin said, at the end of the day, sometimes you're just gonna miss crazy moments. That's
that just goes to show that some people are literally just fans of certain personalities. They're not even fans of name. Okay, Scump.
For me,
Scump. I was saying Optic in general. Like people just like Optic, and people.
But to be fair, it makes sense, bro. I mean, that should make every player and organization want to like just get themselves out there more, because like they've built it for so long that it makes sense. Like it's not like a shock that Optic's the biggest team.
Yeah.
But
it's time for the next generation of players to really step up and do their part in building the esport.
One strategy I think that will help for all these teams, we're starting to see a lot of big name influencers tie themselves to a lot of these CDL teams. And again, if events come back and some of it is travel, because some of these influencers are international, so that can be a little bit tricky. But this is the strategy that Optic deploys, that FaZe deploys. You get your influencers out there, you do meet and greets around the event, and that generates heavy fan support whenever your team plays on LAN. That's what I want to kind of see more teams adopt that playbook. You might not be able to draw as much as those two fan bases just purely on the power they have, but would love to see just kind of, more fan engagement, more fan support again if we're going back to live events next year.
Yeah. But
I think aside from that, oh my bad.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say, like, I think aside from obviously like the you guys kind of talked about it when Alex was on here, just content. Every team should be doing it. It just have more eyes on the scene. I think a big thing, and these two are interchangeable, is just format. I think the reason, depending on the format, there's times where a match is going to have 8K, because guess what? Two shitters are fucking playing. So, like, if you can construct a format that every match people want to watch, which is hard, so then that just leads into the second thing, is just competition, Instead of having 4 good teams, it's on these CDL teams to have 8 to 10 good teams, where you're not just watching a match that, it's just two shitters against,
Yeah. The matches just need to matter. Like, you're never going to get a format where, like, 2 top teams are always playing, right? It's just like, but who the fuck wants to watch teams that are automatically eliminated or not making playoffs or not making an event face off? It doesn't make sense. If they're fighting for seeding, like, I'm sure the CDL knows this, right? Like, I'm sure the format will look a little different, at least I assume, going into the next year. I mean, Tom, who's your godfather?
Chris Crowder.
What? That was the dumbest question I heard.
Yeah, what?
Wait, but I was thinking back to like your UMG Philly days, like who.
I mean, UMG Philly days. That was my own fucking father. That's
true. You were an S&D star.
Who was it? It was you, Tej,
it was me,
Hamza,
Tej, Noxide, and Vex. And the whole reason why that came together is because I begged them. We finally got an event to come close to Jersey, because I was young. I was playing ball. I was going to school. I didn't have time to fly out and do shit and fly to events and stuff. Finally, something came close enough to the East Coast where I was able to drive to, and it was UMG Philadelphia. And I remember begging TJ, Noxide, Vex. These are just guys I played online with, just S&D tournaments. I was like, look, we have so many pro points. We can make a team and play against some of the best players and make a name. We can actually show people what we can do on LAN, because a lot of people are just like, we're online, S&D tournaments, stuff like that. We didn't really get the respect. So I was like, we can go. You guys know me, Dan. Back in the day, I always wanted respect. Remember, people used to make fun of me for it. And that was true. We ended up sleeping. I ended up begging TJ, Vex, and Noxide to come play. I was like, listen, man, I'll come pick all you guys up, because they started saying, I don't have a car. I can't get. I said, I'll pick you up. Where do you guys live? I drove all the way to New York. I drove three hours to upstate New York to go get Vex. Then I drove another 2 hours to go get Will Noxide, who was coming off a train somewhere. He took a train somewhere. Then I ended up driving in a snowstorm like 6-7 hours to Philly, where we ended up either sleeping on the hotel room floor, because we only had enough money for one room, so we were all just sleeping on the floor. And then that ended up moving to TJ's basement. We ended up during the weekend, because TJ lived in Philly, so we ended up sleeping in TJ Haley's basement. And at that tournament, that one tournament where I went and picked everybody up, drove through a snowstorm, we were playing on main stage. It was our first LAN event ever. That was the only opportunity I had. That's it. And Crowder was the one who saw me play. And Crowder, RJ, right, the assistant coach at FaZe, RJ, Chaw Harvey, a lot of you guys don't know him, just saw me play. Shout out Chaw. I think they liked that I was just like a dickhead. Like, my attitude kind of like, they liked me for that. Like, they liked that I was super confident. And after that, it was raps. I started talking to them after UMG Philly, and then we made that denial team with me, Study, Chris, and
but prior to that, how'd you guys get into league? Because wasn't it like you, Tyree, like Legal?
Yeah, that was the denial team.
That was at 2 though, right?
No. So we went to UMG Philadelphia. That was Team Bati. Remember Team Bati with me, TJ, Vex, Noxide, and then we went into Erupt. It was Erupt Gaming or something.
Right?
Yeah, we qualified through like an online qualifier or some shit. That's where Erupt ended up coming, and then Denial came next. And then luckily for me, my name just skyrocketed after that because we made the team with Denial. I picked up 3 players who all got dropped. Study, Saints, and Crowder.
Yeah.
They all got dropped. Yeah. They didn't have teams. Yeah. And they gave me...
That was after Anaheim, right?
Yeah, after Anaheim. And then they all gave me an opportunity to play. And then we won our first event. We as a pro team, we went to an event, which was UMG Dallas, and we won it. We won the whole fucking thing. Crowder won his first event. Nato, Study, they all won their first events. I won my first event. And it was a fairy tale. It was a fucking fairy tale story, motherfuckers. It was crazy. It was unbelievable. But just, the only takeaway I would say to that story, chat, is sometimes one opportunity is all you need. And if you have an opportunity in life to do something, don't pass up on that chance. Go out, go get it, go do what you got to do, and everything will fall into place. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So,
bro, you're just undeniable.
Sometimes one opportunity is all you're gonna get.
Yeah,
bro.
that's all you get. Hey, bro, if I didn't go to UMG Philadelphia, if I didn't go to UMG, if I didn't scrap up that team, if I didn't beg them in fucking TeamSpeak and shit, or wherever we were talking back in the day, it might have even been Skype or some shit. Skype. If I didn't beg them on Skype to come play this tournament with me, and if I didn't offer to come pick them up and take time to go drive and pick all these guys up in a fucking snowstorm blizzard that was happening in Jersey, New York at the time, it would have never been here. We were sleeping on hotel floors, and
that's
like
everyone's story.
Everybody got swatted, right? We were out there in the snow.
Then we got swatted, and they wouldn't let anybody grab their hoodies or anything in their rooms. We were all standing out in fucking negative 10-degree weather with no hoodies on and t-shirts and stuff for over an hour. Like, bro, we were losing full, bro. People were getting sick from the water. Everybody got sick. Apparently, the water was contaminated that they were serving at the event. Yeah, everybody was sick at UMG Philadelphia.
Ass water?
It tasted like shit. And then I just remember as the event went on, bro, I remember Crowder was throwing up while playing against me. Crowder played against me, by the way, at UMG Philly. That's how he found me.
Didn't he went around us and
we did slap you around?
Yeah, you guys beat us.
No, he had a bucket next to us.
He had a bucket. He was throwing up in a bucket.
Isn't there a clip where he goes, "Oh shit, I just shit on you guys. I have to come back," or something like that?
Yeah. He said, "I'll be right back. I gotta throw up," and then just let and ran away.
Chris used to be a crazy shit talker. Chris used to be a loud shit talker.
No, he was.
And then we had Shaw Harvey behind us coaching.
Yeah.
That was when I was. That was when I was fat and wore a beanie.
And that's the thing, right? I'm sitting there and I'm looking across. I'm looking at people that I know are pro players. They're big names in the scene. People think very highly of them. I'm like, this is my opportunity. Win or lose, just show them what I can do and make it difficult for them. And then that's what I did. And here we are now. So it's just crazy how it all comes full circle. And, if any of you guys are trying to go pro, I wish you guys the best of luck. Just make sure you do anything you can to get your name out there. And don't be afraid to be yourself and be loud.
Totally.
Make yourself be known. Demand your presence. Because I think at the end of the day, you might piss some people off, but who gives a fuck? You got to do what you got to do. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Before we do end the show, Ben, it's that time.
All right.
It's that fucking time.
I'm gonna grab my putter.
Hey, listen,
real quick.
we got a lot of bits on the line today. A lot of people.
Oh shit!
A lot of bets.
A lot of bits, Ben. A lot of bits.
Putter and let's get this going.
Get your putter. Do what you got to do. What do we got, man? If you, Slush, I think I asked you this last time. Did you end up losing 50 grand last time, or did you fucking win it? I don't remember.
Oh no, I took his bet he'd make it, and I took the other one, so I lost.
Yeah, you lost. So what are you going with today? Are you going with a hit today?
Wait, Ben's got to angle that camera down.
I feel like
He'll
Ben's been sinking him, bro. He's been golfing too much. He's gonna make it.
He's been sinking.
He's been practicing behind the scenes.
We need to make it. We need to make it harder for him, bro. He needs a bigger mat.
He needs to back up a little bit or something.
But if he misses, bro, then it's just comedy, dude. He's about to. Bro, I feel like he's gonna choke today.
This is becoming a routine for him, bro.
I don't know. I feel like he might choke today. Listen, bro. He's what the fuck? He's hit like the last 7 putts. Move it back, Ben. There's more rolling on that.
He's lining up kind of close.
Move it back. Oh, this guy's a piece of shit. Ben's gonna fucking step up to the green. He's gonna line it up. He's gonna strike the putt. He's gonna sink the. It's too easy. Get his ass over here.
Man. He's got
He's finessing. Oh, I'm gonna roast him. I'm gonna fucking cook him. Ben.
I don't miss those putts anymore, man.
Ben, you're putting from way too close, bro. Way too close.
I'm putting.
Nah, you had a good 2-3 feet. Nah, bullshit.
You had some room.
You had some room to wiggle it back.
This is becoming
Ben.
a routine.
Do it
We gotta
again.
figure out a way to make it harder.
Yeah, Ben,
I put it well on the course today.
Listen,
so.
bro, Ben. Next time we're moving that back, bro. You're moving the ball all the way back to the edge of the map.
If someone makes long putting maps and watches this show,
Go on Amazon. Go on Amazon. You can get a long putting map for $20.
Tom, I'm trying to get us a sponsor for the show.
Bro, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You fucking moron. Hey,
No, it was worth a shot. It was worth a shot.
listen, regardless, man, I think we had an amazing show today. Slasher, I want to thank you, man, for coming on and speaking your mind a little bit. I think people have a lot of respect for you to come on and just kind of talk a little bit about what's going on, you know, because people just don't know this shit, you know?
I appreciate being on here. Obviously, feels good to finally get some of this stuff off my chest.
Yeah.
Talk about it. My mom just walked in here too, and she said she wants to thank everyone in the chat and everyone here for the kind words and everything.
Absolutely.
Shout out Mama Slasher, man. Shout out Mama Slasher.
So,
That's phenomenal stuff.
Absolutely.
She raised
She said stop roasting her son, or she's gonna pay you a visit.
Listen, man, she raised a great young man. Also, she raised a great man. So shout out to you for coming on. I appreciate you, man. Shout out to Looney and Zinni as well for coming on. You guys are the best. Thank you guys. It's always nice to have you guys in here and speak your mind and do what you got to do. Ben, go fuck yourself, bitch. I hate you. And I'm just kidding. I love you, Ben. Thank you, bro. You're the fucking
Fuck
man.
Ben.
Damn, okay.
You
I'm
guys...
just kidding, Ben. Dude, I can't wait till I see you.
Dude,
Dude,
man.
I'm gonna buy Ben so many shots when I see him,
man.
dude.
Ben, we love
dangerous,
Ben.
bro.
We all love you too, man. Let's get some wins in the chat. And as always, guys, I know the off season, you know, it's not
when are
really.
these announcements gonna roll
Yeah,
out?
the announcements have been slow. I have an announcement that's hopefully going to hit this week. And obviously, the new game drops in less than a month. So once the game drops and once the league starts, we'll be pumping. We'll have 4 or 5 of these a fucking week. But in the meantime, chat, I'm playing games. I'm doing a lot of content, a lot of GTA, a lot of COD, a lot of fucking random stuff. Make sure you hit that follow button. Tune in. I'm going to be gaming all night. I'm sure I'm going to be playing with Zinni. So if you guys want to stick around and watch this game, it'd be an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure to go to anchor.fm/theflank to check out all the audio sites that we're on. Go follow The Flank at The Flank on Twitter. Gert's doing a phenomenal job over there with The Flank. And as always, guys, it's an absolute pleasure. Make sure to follow the stream. We'll see you guys in the next episode of The Flank. And as always, have a good fucking day. Take care.
I have some fucking lootly.